And we are live. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Going to take a few minutes for folks to get in here as per usual, but for the people watching on the replay, which I know is a good chunk of y'all, y'all are seeing this already. So welcome back. As I said, my name is Scotty O, aka Gen Z attorney, and currently work as a civil criminal litigation attorney in North Carolina. And yeah, basically I just run this little channel here covering big high profile cases, civil and criminal, and have fun talking about them. So yeah, for now though, we're just gonna hang out for a second, let some folks get in here. Let me get this set up perfect. We got a lot on our agenda today, as y'all can see. Stream today, Tory Lanez appeal prediction. After that, Cardi B trial recap, Young Thug leaked jail calls, DJ Akademiks getting deposed by Megan Thee Stallion, and a secret special announcement towards the end. So, very excited to share all that. Good afternoon, brother. Boneless chicken nugget bone. First one in here. Congratulations to you. You win a cookie. It's not a real cookie. It's metaphorical, but just as tasty for the mind. How's it going? What are you up to this weekend? Let me fix this. Hang out now. Talking Tory Lanez in a little bit. I like to put these comments pinned just to let people know kind of where we're at. Tia, hey, how's it going? Thanks for being here. Y'all, I always got to give the shout outs. Tia, she is legit a boss. You can just go to my homepage. We're going to see something Tia at some point. Okay, there we go. Boom. This is my girl. Looking for any sort of pop culture updates. Let's see what's going on here. Let's see what Tia is saying here. Adin Ross confirms that he has been served with deposition by Megan Thee Stallion in connection with defamation lawsuit tied to Tory Lanez's case. Ross claims that Megan and her legal team sent a mariachi band to play music outside his home to lure him outside, where they proceeded to serve him with deposition papers. Okay, if that's actually true, that's kind of hilarious. But would also not be surprised. Yeah. Paid Adin post, something like that. Yeah, everyone posts the same thing, trying to make it seem like he has been served with the lawsuit. The case is dumb AF, should have been over. Yep. Well, that's what we might be getting into today. If we got time for it, DJ Akademiks, his deposition by Meg's legal team. Because, some of the clips from that were quite funny. But that's true. If that's true, though, if they really did send a mariachi band to lure him outside, it's funny because it's actually legally relevant. Because, legally relevant because when it comes to serving somebody, I mean, you can't just march into somebody's house. You actually, there's rules that apply, and the easiest way to serve somebody is to serve them directly, like here, hand them the piece of paper. But you have to be in a position where you can actually hand the paper to them. And if he's inside his house and refuses to come out, and there's no one else at the house that can accept service on his behalf legally, then yeah, if that's true, they really created this something crazy going on outside to get him to come outside so they could serve him. That is that's kind of hilarious. But anyway, hey, yeah. Boneless chicken nugget bone. Hopefully they don't fry Tory Lanez. There is so much that shows his case wasn't completed with no reasonable doubt. Yes, we are going to get into all of that and more. Got a lot to say. I've had some time to think about the appeal after watching the live arguments not too long ago, and then also being able to read through the briefs, because that's where the real appeals are won and lost, on the written briefs, not so much as the oral arguments. And so being able to read the briefs more thoroughly, I feel like I've got a pretty solid opinion on where this appeal is going to end up. But we'll get to that in just a minute. We're going to give a few more seconds, a few more minutes for people to get in here. Beyond that, obviously y'all see my agenda for the day. Tory Lanez, Cardi B trial, which if you missed that, I covered the entire trial. Hold on, let me get this pulled up. Did it start to finish. Day 1, day 2, day 3, streamed the whole thing. We had it on a fast speed, and then y'all watched the verdict together. Now, a lot of y'all were in here for that, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah, that whole trial was wild. So yeah, but for anyone who missed it and is looking for just a breakdown of what happened, that'll be probably after we do the Tory Lanez talk, and it won't be too long. Obviously, be a lot faster than 2 plus 5 plus 4 plus 5 7 plus 4 11 plus 3 14 hours of stream. I'll probably be able to get it summarized in about 14 minutes, which ironically is how many people we have concurrently watching right now. So heck yeah. Young Thug, that's the other one. Seems every day there's a new leak coming out of our boy Thuggers and what's been going on with him. And even though he's out of legal trouble, you know, the case got thrown out, but is he out of moral trouble or out of rap trouble? Not so much. Career trouble? Not so much. But that, and then, yeah, really just at the end, if we got time, we'll go through some of this, maybe talk about this case a little more, the Megan Thee Stallion. Because, yeah, what better way to signal how strong you think your case is, you know, Meg in the Tory Lanez case, that she's so confident, so strong in her position that she was telling the truth, that she's got to sue people that are saying anything different to what she's saying. That's how strong and confident you are. And so, yeah, obviously that's a joke. To me, that seems like she's completely insecure. If you have to sue people to try and enforce your narrative, then that means you're insecure about the truth of your own narrative and the facts that support it. So that certainly is relevant to our discussion on Tory Lanez and the Tory appeal and whatnot. And then, yeah, and then an announcement at the end. So probably just plan on going for a few hours. You know, just start at 4, so maybe like 4 to 7, maybe like 3 hours. I think we can get through everything here. Unless we're, you know, still having a good time and want the party to continue. And then in that case, we will continue. But I got to get my fan set up. It's a little warm in here, but I don't have a fan. Oh, Tia is sending me the clock. She's ready to get it going. So if that's the case, you know, this is our VIP for the day, then we will get on with it. So, Tory Lanez appeal. I really don't even know what I want to put as. Yeah, like the stream and share. Yeah, you're right. If you're in here right now, you can see on YouTube underneath it. Drop a like. Yeah, that helps promote it through the algorithm. And yeah, you want to share it on X, share it on YouTube, whatever, share it wherever you want to share stuff. That's what I'm talking about. But okay, Tory Lanez appeal. Oh, that means clock it. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. I see now. You're right. Yeah. But let me think. What do I even want to put up? Let me just search Tory Lanez appeal. Let's see what pops up if I search this. I just kind of want something just to be there. I don't want to have a whole video going. Yeah, I agree with what you said about Megan being insecure. Yeah, no, that's, yeah. I got you now. We're on the same page. But, I just want like a picture. How hard is this? Meg, let's do that. That way everyone knows where we're at. No, I don't want an article though. This is probably one of my favorite pictures of them. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Tory Lanez, Megan Thee Stallion, appeal has been argued. Let me do one more thing, then we'll jump into it. Now chatting. And if you have any questions, comments about what we're talking about, it's an open book right now. You can put it in the chat. Appeal prediction. That's what we're here for, to talk through this stuff together. That's why I switched over to the live format, doing stuff more live than making videos, is because I want to have the live back and forth with all of you good people. So, but yeah, okay. It's Tory Lanez, Megan Thee Stallion, the appeal. So, just to catch everybody up who has not been following too closely, obviously we have the Tory Lanez case. He was charged back in 2022. Actually, I'll do this. Tory Lanez case and appeal into timeline. Right. ChatGPT, low key, very valuable resource, just for simple stuff like that. So, here's what we're talking about. Tory Lanez case, he was charged back in 2020 in relation to a case where him and Megan Thee Stallion and Meg's friend Kelsey were all at a party together at, I forget if it was Kendall or Kylie Jenner, but one of the Jenners at their house. And basically, right at the party together, Tory at that time had been sleeping with both Kelsey and Meg, and then also at the party was trying to get at whichever Jenner it was. This upsets Meg. They leave the house, the three of them, Meg, Tory, Kelsey. Three of them leave with the driver, bodyguard, who's driving the car, drives them away. On the drive away, and I'm sorry, I know this is a recap for a lot of people, but I want to get everyone on the same page. Kylie Jenner. Thank you, Tia. It's Kylie Jenner that we're talking about. But yeah, I know this is a recap for a lot of people, but I want to get everybody on the same page as far as, my understanding of the facts here. And that way, if there's any disagreement, we can figure it out from there. But I think it's a pretty solid recitation. So they leave the house, and basically an argument starts in the car. And during this argument, Tory reveals that he had been sleeping with both Meg and Kelsey. And revealing this love triangle, Meg and Kelsey, they're best friends, and that got them mad at each other. Now, the way Meg reports it is that a fight started between him and Meg, basically, and leading to Meg getting out of the car and walking away. And as she's walking away, she hears Tory leaning out of the car and hears him say, "Dance, bitch," has a gun in his hand, shoots at her feet. And the crazy situation, she gets back in the car, which, once again, sorry, this is another hole in her story of the case. Why would you be getting back in the car with the guy who just supposedly, allegedly shot you? But either way, that's her story. He shoots her. She gets back in, and they drive off, and then police stop them. And then from there, police figure out what happened. If this goes back to trial, Tory better not have any more phone calls saying, "I'm sorry." Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, we'll get to that as well. Tory's version of events, though, was once the love triangle was revealed, there was a fight, but the fight was not between him and Meg. The fight was between Meg and Kelsey. In other words, the girlies were fighting, which, for anyone who just watched my Cardi B coverage, y'all know that was basically that case summarized as well, is the girlies were fighting. So Meg and Kelsey, they get to fighting, and Meg is putting the beat down on Kelsey, because Meg is a lot larger than Kelsey. Kelsey's like 5'0", literally. And Meg is, almost 6 feet tall herself. So she's putting the beat down on Kelsey. Next thing you know, Kelsey's going for a gun. And then she has it, and she shoots it up in the air. And then Tory goes out, and Tory tries to wrestle the gun away from her, and it is successful in doing so. There's basically our conflicting narratives here. But either way, some version of those events happened that night. Tory gets arrested. He gets charged with assault with a deadly weapon, specifically the shooting of the gun at Meg, because Meg is saying that's what he did, that he shot her. So we get to the trial. Trial is in 2022. 3 charges: assault with semi-automatic firearm, carrying a loaded unregistered firearm in the vehicle, and discharging a firearm with gross negligence. He gets convicted, and there's a lot of shenanigans that go down at the trial that we'll circle back to that. But yeah, he ends up getting convicted. He ends up getting 10 years in prison for that. And from there, the appeal goes through. And the appeal was just argued recently. Looks like October. No, here it was. Nope, that was the habeas stuff. Here it was. This is what we watched together back not too long ago. This one. We watched the appeal together. And long story short of it, the appeal, and I mentioned this briefly when I was talking about the appeal in that live stream, but the main thing to know about an appeal is we're not focused so much on issues of fact, we're focused on issues of law, because the way these things work in the court system is juries are the ultimate finders of fact. That is their job in the legal system. They find facts, they determine what is true regarding the facts. And then once the jury determines the truth based on the facts, then the judge will apply the law to, bring them both together, bring the facts and the law together. With that in mind, an appeals are focused on issues of law, not issues of fact. There is a standard under which a jury can be overturned by an appellate court, but the only way that can happen, the magic words for that is clearly erroneous. The appellate court has to find that the jury's conclusion, that the jury, their findings of fact were just clearly erroneous. Basically, there was no evidence to support their findings of fact. That is not the case that we're dealing with here. I think there was enough evidence here for the jury to look at. Not saying to find Tory guilty. My opinion on that is clearly I think there was enough reasonable doubt. And if there's reasonable doubt, the vote should be not guilty. That's just the legal standard. So I think 100% it should have been not guilty based on huge chunks of reasonable doubt. But are there pieces of evidence that do go towards guilt? Yes, there just are. There simply are. And as long as there's a single piece of evidence going towards guilt, the appeals court is not going to overturn a jury verdict. So we're not talking issues of fact. And that's important because really the strongest arguments we have here are the issues of fact. Basically, the fact that there was gunshot residue on both Tory's hand and Kelsey's hands. However, the police never tested Kelsey's DNA to see if it was on the gun. They only tested Tory's DNA. And even in testing Tory's DNA, they found that on the magazine of the gun, Tory was completely 100% excluded. And when it comes to the rest of the gun itself, there were 4 DNA profiles on it. One of the 4 made up 90% of the DNA on the gun. So 90% of all the DNA found in the gun belonged to one person. Tory was excluded as being that person, which means, and then when it comes to the other 3 DNA profiles, those 3 made up the remaining 10%. The DNA test was inconclusive as to whether or not he was the DNA, one of those 3 DNA profiles. So either way, the way I've been phrasing that, Tory is effectively excluded as far as DNA goes on the gun. And so that's a key issue of fact, but that's what I'm talking about. Issues of fact don't really come into play when we're talking about an appeal, but I'm just talking about the case itself right now. So that's a big issue there, is the DNA basically excluded Tory from the gun. The fact that the gunshot residue was on Kelsey's hand, but she was never looked at seriously as the potential shooter here. That's another big deal, another big issue. But that's an issue of fact. This will all become relevant later. That'll circle back to as to why these issues of fact are important, because they are going to be important in the end, but for purposes of appeal, they're not important. So, lots of issues of fact, but those aren't really what get argued on appeal. What do get argued on appeal are the issues of law. So what issues of law are we looking at here? These are things that the court did or the judge did, and allowing certain evidence in, excluding other evidence, how they ruled on objections, how the prosecutors behaved, did they violate any of the rules during their putting on their case. These are the types of issues that we're looking at when it comes to issues of law on an appeal. So, what issues of law were argued that we're talking about on appeal? 2 big ones, and these are the 2 that I'm going to be focused on the most. There are many issues, but the 2 biggest ones. Y'all know me here. My main focus, I want us to focus on the biggest and best arguments. I don't want us to get sidetracked down little rabbit holes that don't have a lot of facts or evidence to back them up. If we focus on our biggest, strongest, most solid arguments, that's how you're the most persuasive. So, with that in mind, the 2 biggest issues on appeal. First, the fact that when during the investigation, Kelsey Harris went in and gave an interview with the police. During this interview, this was not a sworn statement, this was not an affidavit, this was not sworn testimony. This was a pre-trial interview, basically to give her story to the police so that they can know and they can expect what she's going to say at the trial. This is standard practice. I used to be a prosecutor myself. Yes, we would meet with witnesses before trial and figure out what their testimony was so we could work with them to not manipulate their testimony, but just know what to expect so we can highlight the strong parts, minimize the weaker parts. It's standard stuff as a prosecutor. The prosecution met with Kelsey, and during this meeting, it was recorded. During this meeting, she basically corroborates Meg's story. She says it was Tory all along, Tory had the gun, Tory shot at Meg. Yeah, just corroborating what Meg had to say. So that's what she said pre-trial. When you get to the trial, Kelsey Harris got called to testify. However, when she took the stand to testify, all of a sudden, her testimony was, I don't recall, or I plead the fifth, or I don't know. So basically, yeah, and the prosecutors were trying to play clips from her old statement saying, well, don't you remember when you came in and met with us and you said that you saw Tory with the gun? And then her answer to that would be like, well, I don't know, or I don't recall, or I plead the fifth. And so basically, right, even though the prosecutors gave her use immunity, meaning she wasn't going to be prosecuted for anything she said on the stand, she still continued to plead the fifth. And the effect of that is that here she is on the stand, sworn under oath, supposedly supposed to talk about the case. That is the stage of the process where her testimony is supposedly the most reliable, because there's the most at stake at that point if you're not being honest. So she also said she lied. Yes, you're right. Yeah, that's another big part. She said when asked about the interview that she lied in it, and she was not being truthful, and she lied to protect herself. So we can put two and two together here. I wasn't being truthful. I lied to protect myself, and now with what I'm saying, what actually happened, I plead the fifth. I'm not going to say what actually happened, because if I do say so, I might incriminate myself criminally. That's what pleading the Fifth Amendment means. It means that if I give this answer honestly, then I would be incriminating myself for something criminal. I would be admitting to something criminal that could be used to prosecute me. So, putting two and two together, I lied to protect myself, and now if I'm honest about what happened, I could get prosecuted. What does that tell us about what actually happened that night? But regardless, so this is what happens at the trial. It was unexpected for everybody. It was a curveball for everybody. Everybody expected Kelsey to go in and testify. When I say everybody, I mean the prosecution and the defense. They all expected Kelsey to go in and testify, basically corroborating Meg's story. So when she goes in and just admits to lying and then pleads the fifth to everything, it's a curveball for everybody. The prosecution's response to the curveball was not to just move on to the next witness. No, they said, we're going to use her old statement, the statement she gave to us back months ago, even though it was not sworn, it was not under oath, and the defense did not have an opportunity to cross-examine her while she was making that statement. We're going to try and use that statement and get it in and have the jury hear her entire statement where she does corroborate what Meg had to say. Terrorisms. Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday. That's right. Happy Sunday to everybody. Welcome. Thank you for being here. So, prosecution says we want to use her old statement that she gave. The biggest problem with that, from a legal standpoint, is something called the Confrontation Clause. And part of the due process guarantees that every criminal defendant has in a trial. What the Confrontation Clause requires is that any defendant, anyone accused of a crime, has the right, a constitutional right, to confront their accusers. That's why it is the Confrontation Clause. This goes so far as to extend to child. I careful about what I say, being on YouTube, but people who do bad things to children, inappropriate things to children. If everyone understands what I'm saying, if a kid comes forward, no matter how young the kid is, well, there is a cutoff. It can't be too young. The kid has to be competent enough to know right from wrong to be able to testify. But that person, that creep who's accused of this crime, has the right, the constitutional right, to confront the accuser, in this case being a child. There's been slight modifications allowed, for example, to have the child be in a separate room where there's a live video feed where they're asking the kid the questions, so that way the defendant can watch, and that's confrontation. So there's very limited exceptions based on extreme circumstances like that. But the reason the Confrontation Clause is so important is because, right, if you stand accused of a crime that might send you to prison for 10 years, then yeah, you've got a right to look your accusers in the face, look them in the eye, know who they are, and more. So that's just kind of like the moral right to it. But more importantly, you've got a right to cross-examine them, a right to examine their testimony and ask questions, hard questions to them, to try and poke holes in it and see how credible it is, how consistent it is. That's the crux of the Confrontation Clause. So there was an appeal overturned for a PDF because the guy couldn't see the kid past the monitor. See, well, there you go. Yeah, so that's how strong the Confrontation Clause is. It's crazy. Confrontation Clause. Yeah, Confrontation Clause is serious. It is a big constitutional doctrine, and violating it is a big no-no. That's a big, big no-no. Yeah, so that was the main argument that I saw on the appeal that was being argued for by Tory's team, was that the Confrontation Clause was violated because this old statement was used to basically backdoor Kelsey's testimony into the jury. Hold on 1 second. I gotta change something real quick. Done. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Yes, so Confrontation Clause. Big deal. The fact that the prosecutors backdoored Kelsey's testimony to be played in front of the jury. It was like an 80-minute interview that was played. Even though she's there in the courtroom saying that she lied during that interview and she lied to protect herself, and when it comes to the actual truth of what happened, she's pleading the fifth. So that interview, based on those developments, that interview is completely unreliable and should not be considered at all. But that's why this is an issue, and this is why this is a big issue on the appeal, is the fact that the interview was allowed to come into evidence, be played in full to the jury, to me, is a violation of the Confrontation Clause. I think it's a clear violation, actually, because Tory's team just had, imagine if you're defending Tory there, what are you supposed to do? How are you supposed to cross-examine a video? How are you supposed to ask questions, poke holes, poke inconsistencies in a statement when it's a recorded video? That's the whole point. That's the whole reason we have a Confrontation Clause. The fact that this video was allowed in, I don't know why this judge allowed it in. There are specific rules where when a witness is unavailable, how past statements are allowed to come in, but they're very specific on when those apply. Specifically, it's got to be things like it's got to be a prior sworn statement that that they had a prior opportunity to cross-examine on. That's the closest to what we've got here. But the main problem with that is it's kind of 0 for 2 on that front, because it was not a prior sworn statement, and it was not there's no opportunity to cross-examine. So, and the defense, I've seen Meg defenders and Tory haters trying to claim that, well, the Confrontation Clause, actually no, not even that. The state's lawyer, the Assistant Attorney General, who argued the appeal that we watched, his defense to the Confrontation Clause issue that was being raised was basically that there was no issue because Kelsey testified and Tory's team had an opportunity to cross-examine her testimony. But the problem with that, she didn't testify. I mean, she sat on the stand, but she did not testify to what actually happened because she said she pled the fifth. So even when the state Assistant Attorney General had no argument, no response to the Confrontation Clause issue. So with that in mind, to me, that's the biggest argument, the biggest hole applicable to what happened at the trial, and I think it's the best argument that Tory's got on the appeal. He said it was easier for them to just play it. The jury relied on her statement because they asked for her transcript. Yes, and that's right. I do remember that happening too. The jury sent a question during deliberations that they wanted her transcript from that interview. So the jury absolutely was relying on that statement, but the only reason that they relied on the statement was because the judge allowed it in. And for the judge to even say out loud, well, it's just easier this way. Well, I'm sorry. I get it that it's easier that way to just let the video come in. But I'm sorry, the Constitution, just because something's easier does not mean you now get to violate the Constitution. You get to violate someone's sacred constitutional rights just for your own convenience to make something easier. Right, absolutely not. So, with all that said, I think that is the biggest argument on Tory Lanez's appeal. And my official prediction, you're going to mark it down now, we're September 7th, 2025, which, by the way, actually, today is the anniversary of my lawyer career. I started being a lawyer. I started working as a lawyer officially 2 years ago today. So, hooray, awesome. But yeah, so my official prediction, y'all can take it to the bank, September 7th, 2025. I think the appeal, it's not going to overturn the conviction, but I think it will remand for a new trial. I think that's where the appeals court will basically split the baby, because I think they'll recognize this is a problem. This was a problem that happened at the trial. Now there's another doctrine I need to talk about on appeals. It's called the harmless error doctrine. Basically holds that even if there was an error that happened during the trial, if it was a harmless error, meaning it didn't really affect the outcome of the proceedings, then they're not going to use that to overturn something on appeal. They're only going to use issues that actually might have a significant impact on the outcome, basically a harmful error. That's going to be grounds for overturning on appeal. I've seen some people trying to say, well, this is harmless error. But I think, as just was pointed out by Tia, this was not a harmless error. The jury relied on her statement. The jury asked a question specifically asking to review that statement, that old statement that she made. So this obviously had a huge impact on the trial. And it's one that cannot easily be overlooked. Now, the reason I'm not saying it's going to overturn on the appeal, yeah, wouldn't them asking for Kelsey transcript mean it was harmful? Exactly right. Yep, exactly right. So yeah. But just because there was an error here does not mean it's automatically the case gets thrown out. Tory gets to walk free, walk free for free, basically. To get something overturned on appeal and get a case thrown out, there'd have to be a significant, like a truly, I know I say significant, but like this is a significant issue, the confrontation clause. It is significant, but it's not a type of issue that's going to cause for the whole thing to get thrown out. This is an issue with the procedure of just how the trial played out, and therefore the solution to a faulty trial that played out bad procedurally is just going to be to have a new trial where things play out properly procedurally. So that's my official prediction. Like I said, y'all can take it to the bank. I think the appeals court is going to grant a new trial, and I really hope they do. I mean, obviously the top goal is to have the whole thing thrown out. But the other thing too, the reason why I don't think it's going to get thrown out is because, going back to what I said earlier about issues of fact, this case is basically, wait, is there an update? No, not yet. The appeals court has not ruled yet. I'm just talking about, based on my review of the case, of the oral arguments, of the written briefs, my official prediction for what's going to happen for the appeals court. We're waiting for them to give their opinion. They said it happens within 90 days of the arguments. So we are about 2-3 weeks past. So we still got, another 2 months max on the timeline on when the appeals court is going to make their decision. Yeah, so we're still waiting on the official update. But my prediction, I think they're going to grant a new trial, because really, I think anyone looking at this, at least a judge looking at this case, can recognize, obviously there's conflicting facts, there's conflicting testimony. The proper people to weed through that, the conflicting testimony, is to let the jury decide. The jury is the finders of fact, and so the proper people to decide, an issue of fact, is the jury. So that's why, and that's what you get to by remanding for a new trial, is you're basically sending it back for a new jury to consider whether or not the facts add up to guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, and if they don't, then to vote not guilty. And honestly, too, it's like, while yes, the best outcome is to just have it thrown out, I think a new trial is almost as much of a win, because for all the reasons we've talked about on this channel in my coverage on this case, there's just so many reasons why there's not enough guilt here to prove. There's not enough facts here to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. And I think in a new trial, especially with the new evidence that will be able to actually come in this time between Jaquan Smith, his testimony basically corroborating Tory's version of events, that it was Kelsey with the gun and Tory had to wrestle it away from her. Between that and Bradley James' testimony, or Bradley James, who was Kelsey's bodyguard. Yeah, because Jaquan Smith, he was the bodyguard in the car that night. Bradley James was Kelsey's bodyguard during the trial, and he said during the trial he overheard Kelsey admit to being the one that fired the shots and having the gun. So both of them are going to testify in a new trial. The DNA is going to be more clear on the new go-around. Still probably don't need Tory to testify. I wouldn't say so. And Kelsey, if Kelsey chooses to, well, we'll see what happens if they even try and call her to testify. Maybe she'll actually want to testify more pro-defense on the second go-around. But yeah, a new trial is almost as much of a win, and I think is a very... And also the fact that Tory is actually going to have a lawyer that can prep and do the whole trial start to finish, instead of having a lawyer that was with him for almost the entirety of the case, but then dropped out at the last possible second, and only for us to find out afterwards that she supposedly has ties to Roc Nation, who is the company, the record label that represents Megan Thee Stallion. So, so actually he'll have a counsel that will be able to represent him and take him through the entire time, start to finish. So, Let me see what else. Okay, you said at 9/7/25, and I concur. If there's no new trial, I'm calling shenanigans. Yeah. Okay, thanks. The minimum, in your opinion, what do you think will happen? Right, that's kind of what I'm saying. I think it'll be a new trial. That's my official prediction. They're going to remand the case back down to the trial court for a new trial. Would it be possible to have a fair trial at this point, as far as jury being tainted? I think yes. I think what we need to keep in mind is, as much as these cases are high profile and involve celebrities and high profile people, and certainly since then, Megan Thee Stallion, her profile has only grown, honestly, since 2020 and since 2022 when the trial happened. Certainly, right, it's going to be another high profile ordeal. But we have to keep in mind, though, that, like, I look at it this way. If y'all remember back to the 2020 election and how, to me, there was, like, so much talk of that election, so many advertisements. Like, it truly felt like everyone was going to vote, like, just one way or another. Everyone was going to vote because it was just kind of a crazy time, and everyone felt like the election was going to kind of be the way to set a new course forward. So the 2020 election, I just remember so much coverage, way more than 2016, even way more than 2024, as far as like a feeling that people were going to go vote. With that in mind, I want y'all to look at something. I want y'all to look at this right here. The popular vote. That election, you want to add that up, roughly 81 plus 74. What would that be? Gosh, 155 million? So in an election where it felt, oh, here we go, turnout. So in an election where it's like everyone and their mama was talking about this election. Everyone was going to go vote. Everyone was reminding each other, hey, are you going to vote? Are you going to vote? And a lot of people did go vote. The max we turned out at was, and that's an unfortunate number, but basically 2/3. 2/3 of the country voted, which means 1/3 of the country did not go vote. 1/3 out of 330 million people. We're talking about over 100 million people, 110 million people that didn't go vote. So I think that's something we had to keep in mind, just bringing it back to, do I think we can get to a fair trial as far as jury being tainted? Yes, a lot of people are going to know about this case. But gosh, I just got to remember, like, so many people, there's just so many people out there. And I think, getting to, now maybe it takes a venue transfer. Maybe they have to transfer the venue out of LA County to a new venue that would be less biased. But also, I think enough time has gone by and passed since 2020 that like venue transfers usually happen for people that were like a community that was just so personally ravaged by whatever happened. Best example on that was the George Floyd case in Minneapolis. The defense filed a motion in that case to transfer venue outside of downtown Minneapolis because, if we remember at that time, downtown Minneapolis was the subject of days and weeks of rioting, looting, arson, military crackdown. Like, it was a war zone in Minneapolis based on the George Floyd killing. So defense, understandably, was like, and even then, the courthouse, y'all got to see the courthouse. The courthouse during Chauvin trial. Yeah, this is what the courthouse looked like during the trial. It was locked down. It turned into a fortress. Yeah, Minneapolis courthouse turned into a fortress for George Floyd murder trial. So, like, the jurors are walking in every day into this because of how crazy of a case it was. And y'all want to know something? The defense's motion to transfer venue away from Minneapolis was denied because the judge was like, yeah, there's not enough of a showing, or not enough of a, I don't believe strongly enough that the jurors are going to be influenced by, the jury pool in Minneapolis is going to be influenced by their knowledge of this case. So, yeah, so transferring venue is a very tall task, but so I think it probably won't get transferred. But all that to say, that was a long-winded way of saying I think that we can still get a jury that's largely not tainted, and even then, giving people the opportunity to be like, because that's what jury selection is for. You ask people about their knowledge on the case, and ideally they're supposed to be honest, which is another part of the George Floyd case was one of the jurors. All the jurors were asked about if they participated in any BLM marches or activities or anything, and they all, I think the final 12 all denied it, but then after the case was over, one of them started giving interviews, and so it went public, so now we know who he is, know his face, know his name, and the internet sleuths were quickly able to find him being quite involved at different BLM marches. So yeah, certainly jury selection, you can't get everything the truth out, but it is, you do your best. But anyway, do you think they'll be able to until the gun belongs to, and if it actually did belong to one of the women, does that affect anything? Yeah, I mean, the problem with, because I did see this point being made a lot, it's like they didn't run the registration on the gun. They didn't figure out who the owner of the gun was. The biggest problem with that argument is the only thing you can find out when you run a gun's registration is who bought it initially. Any transfer, any changing of hands after it was bought, you're not gonna see. So for example, I have a gun. I got it from my uncle. If the registration information were to be run on my gun, it would come back probably to my uncle. I think he bought it. But if you bought it from somebody else, then the registration would come back to them. So just running the registration information, figuring out who the owner is not enough to establish it. Now, certainly, maybe they run it here, and maybe it does come back to Megan Pete or Daystar Peterson, whoever it may be, or Kelsey Harris. So maybe, but my assumption is because we don't know who it was, is they probably did run it, and it came back to just some random name, and they just couldn't tell, or it wasn't relevant. So, yeah. I watched when the attorney presented it to the appeals court. Why was there not a point bringing up that the women actually had a physical altercation? That gives motive, and I don't really feel it was ever brought up as something that could be something that could change the result. That kind of boils down to what I was saying earlier about being an issue of fact. The appeals court is not really going to decide whether or not something was true factually, and that's what this is here, is an issue. It's an issue of fact, and whether or not the girls were fighting. I think it's pretty obvious. We all know, pretty obvious that they were fighting. But the appeals court, there's no issue of law for them to resolve a case on appeal based on whether or not a witness was being truthful, or for example, like the fact that the prosecutors never brought it up. So, yeah, that's the main reason that was not brought up. But is it not normal practice to seal the owner of a gun? I mean, did they seal it? I know you said unseal, but yeah, I would not be surprised though if it is like some random name, someone who's got no involvement with the case whatsoever, that they would seal that name, because they don't want to put a poor person. It'd be like me, like say I bought a gun and then I sold it to somebody else, and the next thing I know, my name's getting blasted out publicly as like I'm the owner of a gun used in a crime. It's like whoa, I had no involvement in it. I don't have the gun anymore. So I could see why they might want to keep anonymity for like some random person if that's who the name was, but. Sounds like Tory's legal team will need to work real hard to address the legal errors from the first trial, leverage every opportunity for a better outcome. So that's what they've done already, is on the appeal that was argued, is they did work hard and they did address the legal errors. And actually we had the lawyer who argued it, courtesy of Tia. The lawyer was in here in the chat after we watched the argument, and we got to talk to her a little bit about the arguments and whatnot. So they did a really good job arguing the appeal. And that's why my official prediction, though, is going to be it gets remanded for a new trial. So anyway, so I got sidetracked. I was giving you all the arguments for why I think it'll get remanded. The biggest one is going to be the confrontation clause. I think that is a huge argument for remanding for a new trial and to exclude any evidence that the defense is not able to cross-examine. But there is a second argument. A further reason why I think this is ripe for a remand for a new trial, and that is the prosecutor's opening statement, where he stated that to the jury that you're going to hear from Megan's bodyguard, Justin Edison, and he's basically going to be a state-friendly witness. He's going to corroborate the state's theory of the case, that Tory was the one with the gun and he shot Meg, and I believe, if I have it straight, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, he was the recipient of the text message from Kelsey when Kelsey texted him saying, "Help, SOS, 911, Tory shot Meg." But either way, regardless of the actual specific facts he was going to testify to, he was held up during opening statements to the jury as a key bombshell witness that you were going to hear from him. And this is standard for an opening statement. And this is what people don't understand, or people get wrong, is that Opening statements are used to basically preview the evidence of the case, and that's it. You're not arguing the case yet. You're just talking about basically every statement you make during an opening statement, you should be able to precede the statement by saying, the evidence will show. Like, that's kind of the general rule. Now, you don't have to say every single time, the evidence will show that they were at a party that night. And then the evidence will show that they left the party. And then the evidence will show that there was an argument. Like, you don't have to repeat it every time. But if you ever get objected to during an opening statement for saying, or on grounds of like, oh, they're being too colorful, too argumentative, then you just, then you can say, if you get sustained, you can say it's like, okay, say I'm saying basically, an argument happened, and then the girls got out and they started fighting. Objection, argumentative, speculative. Then I say, and sustained, like, okay. The evidence will show that the girls got out and started fighting. It's like, and then that you basically, you're covered at that point. So, but that's the general rule for opening statements. You're previewing what the evidence is going to be. The key to that is you have to actually, when you're previewing what evidence the jury is going to hear, you have to actually be honest and truthful with the evidence that they're going to hear. If you're promising that they're going to hear evidence that they end up not hearing, and in fact, not only that, because that's one thing, and I'll get to that in a second, that's one thing, but it's another thing entirely when you promise that they're going to hear something that you have no basis for them hearing at all. So what do I mean by all that? Basically, and this is the one issue, the one kind of like caveat to all of this argument that I'm making right now, is that there is leeway that an appeals court will allow for the trial court lawyer to make adjustments and modifications as things go. They're not going to hold them to a rigid game plan. Like if they if they lay out a roadmap during their opening argument and then they don't stick to that opening argument 100%, they take deviations, because that's the thing. Things happen over trial. Unpredictable things happen during a trial that you just have to adjust to. That's just the way things work during trial. So the appeals court is not going to strictly apply like a rigid requirement of you have to follow your opening argument to a T. What they will say, though, is that you cannot promise things that you are not able to back up. That's really the basic argument I'm getting at right now. And when you're promising the jury that they're going to hear from a witness Justin Edison, but as a DA's office, as a prosecutor, you have no contact really at all with this witness. In fact, your knowledge at that point was that he was missing. That, I think, that's completely biased, completely prejudicial. You've prejudiced the jury into basically, because now this is what he said. What he says in the opening is, you're going to hear from Justin Edison, and he's going to tell you fact. Well, what you've just done there is basically testify for a witness who never came in to testify. Because you just said, here's all the facts. Now, if they come in and testify, then what you're opening is completely fine. Because you can say, like I just said, the evidence will show you that Justin Edison did XYZ. That he received a text, and he talked to Tory, and heard from Tory that Tory had the gun. Not saying that's what he was going to say, but just for example. You can say that in opening, because guess what? He's going to testify, and he's going to say the same thing during his testimony. That's completely okay. But when you say what a witness is going to testify to, when you say that in your opening, and then you have no contact at all with the witness, my understanding is that they had sent him a subpoena. Yeah, we'll get it from Tia. Tia always has like the fact corrections anytime I get something wrong. But promised Justin, but never even spoke to him, and knew he had a body attachment. They sent swag after Justin. Bot knew. That's what they said he was going to say. So yeah, the prosecutor had never even spoken to this witness. Yet he says in his opening statement, you are going to hear from this witness, Justin Edison. They said Tory confessed to him. So yeah, okay. So thank you, Tia. Always coming in clutch for me. So this is what happened in the opening. Prosecutor says, you're going to hear from Justin Edison, and Justin Edison is going to tell you that Tory confessed to him. Okay, if Justin gets up and testifies and says, Tory confessed to me, no problem whatsoever. If they have Justin available to testify, but they just choose not to call him for some reason, maybe they're trying to move things along faster, they decide the majority of his testimony is just going to be cumulative to what other people are saying. There's a lot of reasons why, like I'm saying, there's leeway, there's flexibility, the strategy can adjust on the fly. That's the way it happens. if that's the case, not really an issue with that either. There's a little bit of an issue as far as, that's kind of important testimony. If you're going so far as to promise that this witness will confirm there was a confession, but then your trial strategy, you just move away and you decide not to call that witness, that's not good, but it's not, overturnable on appeal. But if you go so far as to say this witness is going to testify and he is going to tell you that Tory confessed to him, and you've had no conversation with this witness at all, you've got no idea where he is, you're sending SWAT to try and go find him, that to me is completely improper, completely prejudicial, because now you've poisoned the jury by telling them that Tory is confessed. He's confessed to somebody. You've completely poisoned the well. In legal terms, we call it, you can't unring the bell. Once the bell has been rung, once the jury has heard that, you cannot unring it. So that's a huge no-no. And to me, it's an intentional no-no when you don't know that your witness is going to testify. You've got no contact with him. You don't know where he is. You have no way of locating him. If that's your background as far as a witness and their involvement, yet you go ahead anyway and you say that they're going to testify and they're going to admit there was a confession, yeah, you are completely out of bounds at that point. Completely improper, inflammatory statements by the prosecutor, and I think that's just, I think it's grounds for a remand for a new trial. Did they ever play the 911 call that was made by one of the witnesses? Tia probably knows better than me on that. Keeping it G, they played 2 of the 3 calls. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of argument number 2. Big argument number 2. Why I think this is a ripe case for a remand for a new trial is that. Additionally, it sounded like there were some additional improper threats being made as far as Tory, if he testifies, then the judge is going to allow cross-exam about some of his song lyrics, about his tattoos, and so that basically chilled his constitutional right to testify if he wanted to. That's certainly not good. That's factors in here. And apparently some of these comments were even being made anyway. The prosecutors already made comments anyway about some of these things that were also improper. So yeah, definitely a few more little things here and there. But the 2 big ones that I identified through my review of the case was the Confrontation Clause issue by admitting Kelsey's testimony, or admitting Kelsey's prior statement that's not testimony, but allowing it to be substituted in as testimony. Big issue number 1. And big issue number 2, promising Justin Edison was going to testify when you had no knowledge of his whereabouts. So yeah, like I said, official prediction on the books. I think it's a remand. So far, I'm 1-0 in my predictions. As far as now, granted, I did think it was going to be not guilty on the Tory Lanez trial, which who knows? By the end of this, maybe that'll get proven right anyway. If this is a new trial, I think it will be a not guilty in a new trial. So maybe I'll get right anyway. In the end, I'll be vindicated in the end with that prediction. But so I guess while the jury's still out, metaphorically, no pun intended, on the Tory case, whether I was right in my prediction, I will say I was completely correct in my prediction on the Cardi B case, which I followed start to finish and predicted that it was going to be not liable on all counts. And not only that, it would take a very short amount of time for the jury to reach that conclusion. And sure enough, the jury came back in less than an hour, which is very fast. So far, if we're talking about cases that are done, I'm 1-0 because that's the Cardi B case. And we'll see if the Tory Lanez case, how that plays out in the end. I do want to look and see. I did see clips of this on Twitter. Stallion anime getting shot. I saw a clip of this. Looks like it's not on YouTube. Basically, like, what's it called? Like, in her own words, I think. Let me see if I can find that. In her own words. Oh, we only got a trailer. Hold up. That case seems like such a PR stunt. I'm a little worried to watch this. I feel like I'm going to get copyright struck. But what I want to do is watch the I just saw like a little anime clip. It was like an anime retelling of of the night of the shooting. Let me see if I can get this without sound and see if we can find it, because I feel like sound is what's going to get us as far as as far as the copyright issue. But Rock Nation, awesome. Okay, we don't care about this. It looks like it's intercut. All right, we're just gonna have to let it play. Basically, I want to see her telling. Nope, I don't see it. Okay, never mind. Maybe it's on here. Megan Thee Stallion, in her own words. Man, I don't know if any of y'all know what I'm talking about and can link it to me, like specifically the clip, and you put it in the chat. I'll take it and I'll pull it up. Anime. I saw it on X, but now I just said, oh, it's upcoming. Oh, man, I can't find it. I just had it too. But yeah, it was just all over the place. I think a clip on TikTok, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it was like it wasn't even consistent with her testimony. Like, yeah, her testimony at the trial. Type Megan, in her words, Tory shooting. Okay. In her words, Tory shooting. So let's see here. Maybe YouTube. Okay. No. Man. Okay, whatever. Might have to come back to that one. But yeah. But yeah, even like like her anime retelling, because like the reason I wanted to watch it was just think about the situation. Think about how unfair this is. I'll send clip one sec. Okay. Thank you, Tia. Just think about how unfair of a situation this is that we're talking about. Tory is literally sitting in prison for something he should not have been found guilty on. And the story about what happened, of what sent him to prison, he doesn't get to talk about really. But Meg gets to make animes and put those out that are not even consistent with her testimony. Put one in the chat. Where is it? I don't see it. But like, her clip is not even consistent with her own testimony from the trial, let alone consistent with the facts of the case, with what actually happened. So it's just wild to think of and yeah, that kind of hit me with the same feeling too. Seeing her go on Love Island and have this big like Megan crashes Love Island and like, gosh, she's just up there twerking, doing her thing. Everyone loves her, and Tory's sitting in jail, recovering, fighting for his life after being stabbed 14 times. It's like, it's just the injustice, the unfairness of it all. It's rough. It's rough, man. It's rough. But it's all right, you know. Justice will be delivered in the end. I firmly believe that. I think we're gonna get there. The remand of the new trial. I love you, Gen Z attorney. Oh, CF9317. Oh, who could that be? With the cat emoji? Definitely not anyone I know in person who. Sorry, I'm trying to pull this up. Definitely no one I know in person who totally has no reason to say that she loves me. Definitely not someone in the other room right now watching Smallville after we watched Parasite earlier, sending me cat videos on my phone while I'm working hard out here. Yeah. But yeah, okay. Well, we'll wait for the link to the anime to come through. So I just put that over there so we could see It's a TikTok link. TikTok link. Where? I don't see it. Is it in the chat or is it on Twitter or? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll have to come back to that. Unless someone sends it or if I can see it, because I just don't see it. But not too much on my girl. Who's your girl? Meg? Please. Your girl is a lying, no good, very bad. She is the scum between my toes. I forget the rest. Well, it's okay, because we're about to get to your other girl, Cardi B. Yes, look, I don't see. All I can see, what y'all see here, this is what I'm seeing on my screen of the chat, at my comments. It's under the live? Hold up. Hold the phone. Yeah, like this is all I see live is so I don't see any links posted there, but maybe it could be under here comments. We're about to get Inception trippy. Gosh, unskippable ads? That's gross. No, I still don't see it. If you can send it to me on X. Yeah, see, I don't see it. But yeah, I could take it through X. That's why I'm putting this over here. So I don't expose all my DMs. Yeah. Sent the link. Okay, I'm looking. Messages. Can y'all really not see it in the comments? No, man. But Tia, I don't see it either from you. I think the comments are delayed. Like, yeah, it is a little delayed timing wise. But as far as like, I should still be seeing it coming through. Yeah, I don't know. Can you see it, Tia? Let me look. Got to pull it up on my phone. Let me see. No, I don't see it on my phone either. Oh well. You know, we will have it for the next stream, and we'll break it down on that one. Because for everybody else who's here, yeah, we got plenty more to do. Oh, there it is. Okay, I got it. Okay. All right, here we go. Thank you both for for getting it. Posting comments for your efforts. That was much appreciated. All right. So for reference, this is the anime retelling of the night in question, or according to Megan Thee Stallion. So let's watch and see.
Meg's documentary.
And this motherfucker just started hollering at me. He was like, damn, bitch.
Dang, Tory.
So dramatic. Well, so, okay, few things here. How are we explaining? Because if she is getting out of the front passenger seat,
Just started hollering at me. He was like,
So now we're saying that Tory climbed into the front passenger seat and was hollering at her. And here's the other problem. So first we're assuming that he had to do that. Saying that he shot 3 shots. Listen how fast that was. It was a bang, bang, bang.
And this motherfucker just started hollering at me. He was like, damn, bitch.
Bang, bang, bang. But the problem is, we hear it. We have ring audio of where you can hear the gunshots. It is not that fast. It is nowhere near that fast. So that's not consistent with the facts. Moreover,
Dang Tory.
so you're falling forward. Okay. Where are we facing? Okay, let's break this down frame by frame. Here she is, walking away from the car, facing away. Turns around. Okay, so now she's turned around. Now she's facing the car. Because this is according to her. This is how she knows what happened. She turned around and she saw Tory with the gun and saw him shoot. So she had to turn around and face him. Yeah, the slow-mo look. So, okay. So she's now gone from facing him, seeing the shooting happen, to now once again facing away, falling forward, away from the car.
Tory.
Falling away. But now I can't tell if this is supposed to depict her. I think just once again falling away from the car. Because yeah, then she starts crawling away, right? As Tory's coming to finish the kill. Yeah, look like Michael Myers. So if this is the case, if he's getting out to follow her down to finish the kill, then let's ask a few questions here. Why did she get back in the car? Because she did. The police did not respond to this scene. The police responded later after they drove off and then were stopped later. So that's first things first. Why'd she get back in the car with the person that supposedly just shot her? And not only just shot her, but she knows, according to her, she is like 100% certain positive that he's the one that shot her. So you're getting back in the car with the guy who you claim just tried to kill you. A. B. Right, see ya. That was my next point.
Tory.
So you just went from facing away to facing the car to see Tory to then the shots ring out. But did she turn back around again? Like, because she never says she tried to take off running or anything. But she ends up facing away from the car. The reason this is relevant is because this is actually consistent with the evidence. Because guess what? The bullet fragments were found on the back of her feet. They were found in her heel area, and up the back, start going up the back of her legs a little bit. So let's put on our thinking caps for a second. If the bullet fragments were found on the back of her feet, let's intuitively think, what direction was she facing? What direction did she have to be facing in order for bullet fragments to hit her in the back of the feet? She had to have been facing away. So, if she's facing away... Oh, hey. Sorry, I'm getting a special guest appearance over here. She's shy. She wants to comment and stop the Meg hate train. It will never stop. Do you have anything to say?
You gotta go to sleep tonight.
I gotta go to sleep tonight?
Yep.
Yeah, this is true. Sorry. I'm getting sidetracked by the wife. That's just all you are to me, the wife.
Oh. I'm supposed to learn my name.
Yeah, no. Yeah, show this in court, please. Yes. That would be. Jury, you don't even need to hear the evidence or hear the testimony. Just watch this anime, and that'll say the whole story.
Y'all still talking about my girl?
Yes, we are still talking about your girl.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, my wife is conflicted because she loves. Hold up, y'all can see. Oh my gosh, sneak peek. exposed. She's conflicted because she likes Meg, but she agrees Meg was completely wrong in this case. And
Not too much.
yeah, she said not too much on her girl Meg. I say not enough. But yeah. So anyway, back to the point. The bullet fragments on the back of her feet mean she had been facing away when she was shot. So, but she never acknowledged that she was facing away when she was shot. She says, according to her, she was facing Tory, saw him with the gun, saw him shoot. So, yeah, it's just to sit, and she has to say it that way because she has to definitively state, she has to be strong in her claim that she saw him do it, because she's at this point in the trial, she's the only one saying that he's the one who did it. She's the only one testifying that she saw him. So, yeah, it's just inconsistencies kind of all around. And, yeah, and this is a slow motion. And, but I think, you know, cheaters never win and winners never cheat. And she's trying to win. This cheater's trying to win. But I have faith. I have confidence. She's not going to. It's going to fall apart for her. Yeah, right, because they have to be going off of what she told. How she told in the story animation does not line up at all. Exactly. Yeah, even based on her own testimony, which is kind of the funniest part of all this. But, okay. Anyway. So, yeah, that, I think, basically covers what I want to talk about with, with our girl Tory, our girl Meg, our guy Tory. Saying not enough either because this is indefensible. Yep. I'm excited for new trial. Hopefully, fingers crossed, the new trial actually gets streamed, because I would love to see that. They probably won't do it because they didn't do it last time. So maybe it's a standard practice of LA County to not live stream. But I mean, I think we all learned a lot from basically watching the Cardi B trial. So I hope they stream it. Which brings me nice and neatly, y'all like that segue? Brings me right over to our girl, Cardi B. As we all saw, the trial ended with a bang of Cardi B. Actually, I'll show you exactly how it ended. This is exactly how the Cardi B trial ended.
Insiders are claiming that Offset is publicly bragging about getting you pregnant for the 4th time. Do you foresee any paternity issues with Stephon Diggs?
Stop disrespecting me. Don't disrespect me.
Yeah. That is how the Cardi B trial ended, but she got the last laugh anyway because she was found not liable on all the charges, all the counts. Yeah, basically the plaintiff got completely exposed as being a liar, and the case fell apart. And yeah, it was a great day for Cardi B in the end. So basically, just want to recap briefly the trial, kind of how it all went down, because as I've mentioned before, because it was a short trial, did not take very long to go through. I watched all of it and I streamed all of it. Boom, 4 days, 4 streams. It was a good time. Had a lot of fun. Some of y'all were in there for that. So yeah, judge denied request to live stream. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, I could see definitely them wanting to try and keep the distractions out. But a case like this, there's going to be distractions no matter what. And I think, yeah, to me, sunlight is the best disinfectant. I think we're all far better off for actually seeing how these things go down than just hearing about it through secondhand reporting. So I hope it gets live streamed. But before that happens, though, it has to still get overturned or has to get remanded on the appeal. So that's what we're waiting on. The Tory Lanez case, waiting for the remand. Oh. But yes, now, our girl Cardi. Quick recap, facts of that case. She was sued by a security guard, not her security guard, but just a security guard. Basically, this was back in 2018. Cardi B had just got pregnant. And, she was a few months along. It's her first pregnancy. Something happened. She wanted to get checked out. She was in LA at the time. She calls the doctor's office. They clear out the whole office for her to come in on an afternoon. On her way into the office, though, a security guard recognizes her and says something to the effects of, "Oh my gosh, it's Cardi B." Cardi takes exception to that, because she gets the idea that the security guard is now filming her, and she's at a gynecologist's office, and no one knows she's pregnant. So she's like, "I don't want people to know I'm pregnant." So she says something to the security guard like, "Why are you recording me? That's weird." And from there, basically an altercation happened, where the girl, as with Kelsey and Megan Thee Stallion, once again, the girls here were fighting, although not physically fighting from what it seems. It was more of a verbal chest-to-chest arguing, fighting with each other. It gets so loud that the receptionist and the gynecologist himself from the office, they both come out and they break it up, and they both identified the security guard, the plaintiff, as basically being the one that was the issue, the aggressor, and they separate it by getting her away from Cardi. So that's basically it. It was like a 1 minute max interaction, very quick, very short. The plaintiff ends up getting fired from her job as security guard because the gynecologist was like, "Yeah, she can't work here anymore. Not if she's doing stuff like that. We got high profile clients. We can't have them getting in fights with people." So plaintiff gets fired, and initially tries to file a workers' compensation claim, claiming that she got a scar on her face because she was scratched by Cardi B. The workers' comp claim basically goes nowhere, so all she's left with doing is suing Cardi B directly, and she does. Sues her for assault, for negligence, for infliction of emotional distress, and according to Cardi B said she got sued for $24 million. That was probably not in the complaint itself. My guess is that was probably during the negotiations. That was the number that the plaintiff threw out, is like, "Oh yeah, if you we'll settle the case with you. We'll drop our charges if you pay out $24 million." So that's my guess. But either way, that's the number Cardi said. The plaintiff has denied that number, said it's more in the couple hundreds of thousands of dollars range, which, yeah, whoop-de-doo, so much better. But either way, credit to Cardi. She basically said, "No, this is a shakedown. I'm not giving you a dollar." And so they took it to trial, and the whole thing was live streamed, and it was a great time. And yeah, as we all know now, the verdict was not liable on all the counts. And all I want to do right now is basically just do a short breakdown as to kind of why that happened. Just talk through it with y'all. Basically, the reason for that was a few different reasons. First and foremost, the plaintiff did just an absolutely horrendous job putting the case on and arguing the case, and her lawyer was just horrible. Yeah, her lawyer was just abominable, honestly. I'll try and think of more synonyms as we go, but if you think about it, break it down. There were two injuries that Cardi was basically arguing had happened. There was a physical injury, and there was the emotional injury. Physical injury, she claims, was this scar on her cheek that went like that. Or she made it sound like that because she was saying Cardi basically had her finger in her face. It was like pointing with really long fingernails. And as she was pointing, she scratched, which if it was a pointing, kind of like this, it would go kind of like this, right? That would be what would logically follow. Only problem with that is she had no pictures of the scar. She had one picture she tried to say was the scar, but that picture came from 4 years after the date in question. 4 years later. And it was taken by her plastic surgeon. The plaintiff did not provide any of her own pictures, any of her own photos documenting the scar over the 4-year time span. Any selfies, any family photos, anything. She had nothing. None of that. That's the first problem. Second problem, the photo that was provided did not show a scar that goes like this. At best, it showed a very faint vertical line that went like this. Like vertically. Not horizontal, vertical. And she's claiming that was Cardi B who did that. First off, the picture's terrible. You can't see anything in the picture. You could barely see a tiny, somewhat maybe of a line, only because the plastic surgeon specifically pointed to it and was like, yes, there it is right there. If he didn't point to it, you would not be able to see the line. And actually, let me see if I can find it. What I did last time was, actually, I think I had it here. Oh, great. Got to pull it up. I got it through Tea with Tia, but it got kind of buried. Yep, there we go. So, as y'all can see, and I'll even full screen this for a second. As y'all can see, do y'all see any lines here? You can barely see a little bit of a darker patch there. But also, too, she's wearing makeup. So, you got a full face of makeup, supposedly, while you're showing the supposed scar here. So, in short, the physical injury was just completely... Yeah, there was just such little proof showing this physical injury. All we had was the plastic surgeon basically saying it was there. And also the plaintiff saying it was there. And the plastic surgeon who charged $17,000, who only would get paid in full based on basically the plaintiff winning the case. Now, he's supposed to get paid regardless, but to say he has a bit more of an interest in the plaintiff winning that case. So, first problem. Physical injury was just basically no evidence at all. Second part, the emotional injury. One would think that you would have the plaintiff's therapist testify, or a doctor of some sort that can actually testify and give an expert opinion documenting the extent of the emotional injury, the PTSD, the depression, trouble sleeping, like whatever issues that she's having emotionally. You can have an expert testify to this stuff, a psychologist. She didn't have that. She had one psychologist testify, but that psychologist reviewed her records for purposes of the workers' comp claim from 7 years ago. And all that psychologist did was sit down with her and basically write down what does she report as her feelings. The psychologist did not do any evaluation. She just documented, here's how she's reporting she feels to me. That's important because when we're talking about emotional injuries, you can actually test this stuff. You can test it with gold standard testing, psychological testing that can evaluate basically the extent of the injuries and the emotional distraught and whatnot, whether they're real, what the issues are. You can test it for that kind of stuff. The plaintiff's case in chief had no one who testified to that. We're going to find out. We probably know why now after hearing the defense's case in chief, because the defense did call an expert witness, and this guy was like the gold standard. When you heard his resume, heard his credibility, he's like exhibit A of like PTSD expert. He's been the top psychologist at the VA. He's done hundreds and hundreds of court case testimonies testing about psychological profiles of people. Like, this guy just completely overqualified for maybe not overqualified, but like super duper ultra qualified when it comes to the field of psychology and psychiatry and evaluating people for their evaluating their mental state. So that was a good trial in my opinion. The prosecuting attorney, aka the ops, did literally nothing to sway the case in favor of Imani. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, the plaintiff's attorney was just a complete clown show, with getting objected to left and right and lots more. We'll get to that in a little bit, but including this right here, you would think he would have called a expert witness to document the extent of a psychological injury. He did no such thing. The defense did. They called their expert, and this guy actually did sit down and evaluate the plaintiff to see her emotional injuries and see the extent of it. The defense did a good job bringing in that witness. He was very strong. Once he ended his testimony, I was like, that's a wrap. Yeah. Once he got done testifying, I agree. I was like, wow. Because basically what he was able to conclude was from evaluating her reporting of her symptoms, he was able to test her. And basically his conclusion was, out of a sample size of 1 billion with a B, billion people with PTSD, if you were to test 1 billion people with PTSD, only 2 out of 1 billion would report the extent of how serious the injuries she felt like she was suffering. Basically to say, his conclusion based on that was, and he did a bunch of other testing, but his overall conclusion was she's making it up. She's exaggerating or fabricating or extremely exaggerating her symptoms. Because, and yeah, if you're testing so high on your emotional distress scale that you're testing higher than, what would that be? Out of a billion, it would be 999,999,998 people. You're testing higher than that many people with actual PTSD. And the defense lawyer made a good job and it made a good point in his closing that, like, how offensive is that? What? What do you say? Okay. I love you. The defense lawyer made a good point about this is, she's claiming she suffers from PTSD. Like, this is a offense to people with actual PTSD, that she's trying to manufacture sympathy and that she deserves millions of dollars out of a situation that she basically instigated and incited. So when that defense witness testified and he pointed out like how unbelievably exaggerated her claims of emotional injury were, it was like, okay, yeah, so she's 0 for 2. She's not proven a physical injury, and she's not proven an emotional injury. And in fact, now you've got the receptionist and the gynecologist that were actually there, the only people that actually witnessed somewhat of the incident. They both testified, and they both acknowledged that the plaintiff, security guard, she was the problem. She was the instigator. And in fact, the receptionist actually got scratched on the face, on the forehead. And that's important because when the girls, Cardi B and the plaintiff, were basically chest to chest, the receptionist squeezed in between them, facing the plaintiff. So her back was to Cardi. So she was facing the plaintiff as the girls were like screaming, yelling, flailing at each other. And the only person who actually got injured out of this was the receptionist, who got a cut to her forehead, which she was like, yeah, the only person who could have done that was the plaintiff, who was trying to swing at Cardi B and missed and hit me. So, yeah, it was a complete shakedown by the plaintiff. Completely ridiculous case, start to finish. Which is really funny when you consider it in light of, we all know Cardi B. We all know what she's like and what she's capable of. And the fact that on the day of her trial for assault, she goes outside and throws a pen at a reporter. Yeah, we know our girl Cardi. She definitely is not afraid. What? She's innocent. You're right. Legally, she is legally. So, yeah. So I went into that trial expecting to come out of it thinking, yeah, she's probably liable. She probably did what they said she did. And do I think she was being confrontational with her? Absolutely. But let's see if I can find a Cardi B trial. But when she testified, she had great... I don't want to see people talking about it. That's my job, is to talk about this stuff. Yeah. Here we go. We can watch this. Get a vibe for how this trial went down for anyone who missed it.
Me, I'm just trying to check my cat.
Which one is your real hair? Or are they both real?
They're wigs.
What was that?
I said, that's a lie. Out of here. Just trying to get some money.
Who's trying to get some money?
She is.
How do you know that?
Because she sued me for $24 million. Because I'm pregnant and this girl's about to beat my ass. Hello?
Hello. Hello, I'm here. You said she's bigger than you? Is that correct?
Absolutely.
How do you know that?
I mean, look. You following me.
Yeah, those were good ones. I think my favorite moment of her was he asked her, I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. But he asked her, "Did you call her fat?" And Cardi was like, "No, I called her a bitch." Oh, that's funny to you over there? Does that sound like your girl Cardi?
It does.
Yeah. Yeah, there's So she's I was fully expecting to go in and find our girl Cardi. Probably did what they said she did, but after the evidence was coming out, and I'm just like, yeah, Cardi was definitely not gonna back down, but also she's not the one that sought this out, and this definitely came off completely like a shakedown. And that's why, my prediction on that was not liable, all 4 counts. And in fact, indeed, she was found not liable, all 4 counts. And and not only that, but I predicted it would be very fast deliberation. And the jury came back in less than an hour. So, that really is the Cardi B trial recapped in its entirety, actually. And the fact that it was only 3 days of testimony was very nice, very good. Because, allowed me to cover the whole thing. Normally, I can't really watch stuff in its entirety when it comes to these trials. But this one I was able to. 3 days. 3 days of testimony. Sped through it. Watched it on fast speed. And, so that was good. That was good stuff. But, that kind of does it for what I wanted to talk about with the Cardi B case. And she did put a stern warning out to everybody else. Like, she didn't let this one slide. Actually, she did a pretty classy move of saying, like, y'all, don't go after this girl. Don't harass her. Just let her go. Like, this is over. So it was like, cool, classy on that front. But then she also said, but for anyone else who wants to try this again, like, just know I will be countersuing and taking you for all you're worth. So no one else try this again. But fair enough. This is a sucky situation to go through. But she definitely made out good for it because, to coincide a trial where you get these great viral moments to coincide with also you're releasing an album is, good free marketing. Good stuff all around. But that is the Cardi B trial. Okay, next topic for the day. How's everyone doing, by the way? If you're in here and you have not hit the like button yet, to go ahead, hit that. Be much appreciated. If you're not subscribed, can you watch the video about her countersuing if you can find it? Yes, I'll look for that while I'm talking. But if you're not subscribed, then go ahead and subscribe, and more importantly, hit the notification bell, because that's how you're gonna know. That's how you're gonna know when I go live. Usually it's gonna be every Sunday, like right now, like today, Sunday afternoons. But okay, I think this one will be it. I remember seeing a longer clip, but we'll just do this one. But subscribing, hit the notification bell. That'll notify you whenever I do go live, or more importantly, following on X. And, I always post over there as well. Kind of timeline countdowns for when we go live. But so anyway, this is the statement Cardi made after the trial, after she was found not liable.
Lawsuit against me, I'm going to counsel you, and I'm going to make you pay. Because this is not okay. I think people have like this misinterpretations of celebrities, like it's like, oh well, we can ask for this and they're gonna settle. You don't work at home and you don't work all day and you don't work for your money. You don't get your money. So don't ever think that I'm just gonna give you my money that I work hard for. I don't lay in bed all day. I work all day. And I work hard for my money for my kids and for people I take care of. So don't you ever think that you're gonna sue me and I'm just gonna settle and just give me my money. It's not gonna happen. I do also want fans at home though, not to find their social media, her family's social media, her social media, and bother her. I hope that this is something that I leave behind, that she leaves behind. When we go bother her, then we talk about her, when we talk about her, she looks to try to do it.
Yeah. So one thing I appreciate about Cardi is her authenticity and self-awareness. Yeah, I can agree with that. She is 100% authentically Cardi. Dat girl, you're right. So, but just a classy statement too, though. It's like, 'cause she totally could have like activated her fan base to like go destroy this girl, go find where she works, and go report her to her boss anytime she gets a new job. And But yeah, no, she decided not to, just leave it in the past, which, yeah, good on her, good on her. Anyway, okay. Our boy Thuggers, Young Thug. He's been having a bit of a go of it in the social media space. I want to address some of it. I want to get the recording. Yeah, because basically, what we got going on here. Well, let's do this actually. Let's consult the chat. Summarize Young Thug leak phone call recording drama. Basic gist of the introduction, background on this is leak jail phone calls. Yeah. Well, I actually don't even know about a lot of this stuff. Anyway. Yeah, basically, background of this is obviously our boy Young Thug was on trial for Rico charges in Atlanta. And that case went for, I think it was like a year and a half. How long did Young Thug trial last? Almost 2 years in total from jury selection until the plea deal. But even then, the plea deal was basically based on, reduced charges. It allowed him to get out, and not be thrown in prison. So very favorable plea deal. But yeah, it took 2 years of trial. Not just like from the time he was charged to the time it went to trial. I'm talking about like the jury selection. So we're trying to put we're in court. We're trying to sit jurors in the jury box and start the trial. Have witnesses testify. Basically, yeah, what it took Cardi B 3 days to do for a 1 minute interaction. The Young Thug trial. 2 years before he pled out. So the case continued after that. So pled out. He gets out. He is free to live his life again under some specific stipulations. I think he's like not allowed to have any open affiliation with gang or talk about anything like that. Yeah, but now we find ourselves in a position where phone calls he was making while he was in jail are being leaked and causing quite the hubbub on the socials. So actually, this is kind of even before, not what we're talking about. First one that I saw of this new, because he's getting accused of snitching, and I think it also at some point said something about Glorilla's looks, and she had to clap back. Let me do this. Let's see what we can see. Young Thug, have we talking about this version of Glorilla? Yeah, probably. Glorilla has had quite the glow up. Maybe that's why she's Glorilla. Glow up Rilla. That could be her new name. So yeah, it said something about her looks, and then he apologized because I think Glorilla called him to the mat. What? Oh. But yeah, he got called to the mat by Glorilla, who said something about like what? Yeah, he was in her DMs, I think, or yeah. So he had to say, "I don't think you're ugly at all," of course, which is speaking from jail, just having a hard time with life. I don't like bashing girls, and hardly ever did. I'm sorry to you, twin. Oh, they twins now. Yeah, but yeah. Anyway. That was the first thing I saw about it, but I was simultaneously kind of seeing that not only was he commenting on Glorilla's looks, but also his allegations of snitching. So apparently, 2-year-old police interrogation video surfaces showing Young Thug being questioned about 2015 Lil Wayne tour bus shooting, especially as fans accused Thug of hypocrisy, calling out Gunna for snitching, while seemingly implicating Pee Wee Roscoe in the interrogation. Very curious for the outcome of all this mess he has started and going through. Sounds like he's just getting pulled in deeper and deeper every time I get a new update. But yeah, he claims video was excluded from trial because it's not admissible and asserts he is protecting, not betraying his associate. But then the saga continues into early September now, where a leak call reveals Thug calling out Gunna for taking an Alford plea in 2022. Alford meaning no contest. If you plead guilty pursuant to Alford, that's the same as pleading no contest. So he calls out Gunna for taking an Alford plea in 2022, accusing him of doing it for a woman, vowing he's displeased with Gunna's decision. Expressed intense animosity, saying, "I literally don't hate nobody but him. I literally hate him." He also claims he paid $50,000 for fake streams to boost Gunna's album, DS Forever. September 3rd and 4th, more clips leak, and one Thug harshly disses Memphis rapper Glorilla during a call with Mariah the Scientist, mocking her appearance and stating, "That girl looked funny. I would not pursue her at all ever." Which makes sense now. It's the classic, well, who said you were? The fact that you're bringing it up saying that you would never do it, you're kind of selling yourself out as you already did do it and you would do it. Which, that's what Glorilla took exception to and responded to that. But anything more? Thug pushes back, claims the leak interrogation was not used in court, taunts skeptics. They didn't play my interrogation video in court because I helped my brother. #ratware. And then South Park style fan animation parodying the leak calls go viral online. Clips parody Thug and jail making the dramatic phone calls, sparking jokes and widespread sharing across social media. Can we see that actually? Hold up.
But this what he did. He made, which they still got to prove the shit though, which I don't think they're gonna ever be able to prove because it's just not a game. He gave the jurors the agreement that it's a gang. He said YSL is a gang, and he know people in this on this trial who committed crimes in furtherance of the gang. That means you did it. You saying, you see what I'm saying? You don't know nobody on this case. That's a lie. That's a full blown lie.
Just yapping.
I know individuals on this case that committed crimes in furtherance of the gang. Like you committed just so you can say slime did. Like that's real. That's what Rico is. That's Rico.
Yeah, that's all I was doing right now. I was just explaining what Rico is. Rico is saying even if you did not do anything specifically criminal yourself, if you're part of an organization that is organized to do criminal things, because this is the whole point. Rico is created to go after like mafia families and mob families, because think of like Al Capone. There's always plausible deniability. There's always that layer of separation where they're one layer removed from the actual, murder that happens, or the hitman. So even if the hitman has to go down, it's like there are always enough plausible deniability for the people who are actually calling the shots to where they never actually go down. So that's why Rico was created, to say, well, we don't need to find Al Capone with the smoking gun in his hand. We just have to prove that he was part of a criminal enterprise, an organization of people that are organizing with each other to carry out illegal interests, which that's what P. Diddy, his whole trial was Rico as well. Saying that was it Mad Dog? Is that his record label? What's P. Diddy's record label? Bad Boy. Sorry, Bad Boy Records. Like that, basically, Bad Boy's organized as a criminal enterprise to carry out all these pressure campaigns and blacklist people's careers, but then also organize all the freak offs and the supposed human trafficking and whatnot. He did what? Did what? The human trafficking?
He did all of it.
He was found not guilty on the trafficking, though.
He did.
Oh, he did it?
Yep. Did he do it?
Did he do it?
Yes, he did.
Well, he's only been found guilty of the advancing prostitution. Puff Daddy. Although, when is the sentencing on that? Let me find out. When is P. Diddy sentencing? October 3rd. It's a little less than a month. Maximum 20 years in prison. He's not going to get 20 years. He honestly likely, I think my feeling on that is probably going to be some sort of either short active time or honestly probably credit for time served, because he's already been in for like 2 years, I think. So I find it unlikely he's going to do much more time after sentencing happens, but either way. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at with the Young Thug. Let me see though. Why is Young Thug being called a snitch? Leaked police interrogation resurfaced in 2025. Yeah, about the Lil Wayne tour bus shooting. So in the interrogation, Young Thug is discussing Pee Wee's involvement. So he sounds like he was talking about. He was talking to the police. He wasn't straight up implicating this Pee Wee Roscoe fella. But because he was raising up his name and kind of saying his name, it's kind of this like, oh, okay, you're saying his name, so it's not snitching because he knows if he says his name or says he did it, of course he'd be snitching, and we know what happens to snitches. But yeah, by subtly raising it, yeah. But then saying, yeah, Gunna got out of the Rico case, the YSL Rico case, supposedly by quote-unquote snitching. So, but yeah, if he talks to police, how can he judge Gunna? They didn't play my interrogation video in court case because I helped my brother Ratware. I mean, there's a lot of reasons you're not going to play an interrogation video in court, though. Even if this part of it would be helpful about, or maybe he's subtly implicating Pee Wee Roscoe, even if it has a part of that would be helpful to the police, if it has more parts of it that are not helpful to the police, then yeah, not surprised that they would not play. Because you can't just play a clip of it, or at least if you do, then the defense is going to be able to make an argument saying, well, rule of completeness, we can demand that the whole thing get played, and if the whole video getting played is going to hurt the state, then I can see the state just basically saying, no, we're just not even going to bother with it. So there's plenty of reasons why it would not have been played in court. Drama's blown up because Thug's public image hinges on being real and loyal, especially amid the ongoing Rico trial. Even if it's seen as borderline cooperation, it blurs lines between him and others he's criticized. So, okay. So it sounds like, as far as legally speaking, it's just the most we're getting as borderline cooperation, which certainly it's not. I can see why it's making a public story out of it, but sounds like we're getting more memes out of the statements. Yeah, I can see this being the case. But it's good though, good for our girl Glorilla, because she really did glow up. Happy for her. Because yeah, she looks great now. But anyway. Yeah, getting clowned on a lot. Yeah. I gotta say, the Young Thug fits are a bit questionable at times. Why is he standing there like that?
Trying to fuck on me. He was trying to fuck on me.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Mariah Science is just as messy because why are you sitting on the phone laughing while your man talking down on another woman? Uh-oh. But yeah. Okay. Well, that... kind of just wanted to touch on that since that's been a big thing I've been seeing a lot lately is Young Thug and his leaked calls. But sounds like there's not too much to it. And honestly, too, I wish I could cover more thoroughly the YSL Rico case, but yeah, y'all saw how long it took to do 4 days of a trial. It took me 4 days to cover a 4-day trial. 2 years, a 2-year trial. No can do, but anyway. Okay. Beyond that, DJ Akademiks deposed by Megan Thee Stallion. This is a case, this is probably going to be the next case I'm going to look more deeply into, is the Meg versus, Magro. Let me find this. Pete v. Magro Cooper. Pete v. Cooper. Yeah. So, this one... is this in federal court? Libel assault. Assault? What? Interesting. Yeah, Southern District of Florida Diversity Jurisdiction. So this is a federal lawsuit. Yeah, this is going to be my next one to dive into. As you can see, this website here is basically all the court filings that have happened in this case. I will not likely be able to get to all of them, but I do want to get a big picture, big idea of what's happening with this case, because as I understand it, the basic gist of it is Pete is Megan Thee Stallion, aka Megan Pete. She is suing blogger Magro Cooper over her statements regarding the Tory Lanez case. And let's see if we can find maybe a news story about it. Pete v. Cooper news. Let me do this instead. Suing ordered to pay Megan Thee Stallion's lawyers $5,000. Well, here we go. Megan Thee Stallion sues blogger over defamatory falsehoods related to Tory Lanez shooting. Megan Thee Stallion is suing blogger Magro Grams and accusing her of purposely spreading false information on behalf of rapper Tory Lanez, who was found guilty of shooting Meg 2020. The rapper, 29, that's Meg, filed the lawsuit on Wednesday in Southern District of Florida. It's federal court under her legal name, Megan Pete, against a popular content creator who's legally known as Magro Cooper. In the lawsuit, Pete's attorneys accuse Cooper of intentionally causing the hip-hop star emotional distress by cyberstalking, promoting and sharing deep-fake pornography of Pete, in addition to questioning if she was actually shot. Lawsuit calls Cooper a puppet for Lanez during and after his high-profile trial, where Pete testified that Lanez shot her feet 5 times after an argument escalated. A jury convicted Lanez on multiple charges, including assault with a semi-automatic firearm. Sentenced to 10 years in prison, Meg's attorney said jury got it right. Thankful there is justice for Meg. An exclusive interview with CBS Mornings 2022, Pete explained why she wanted to tell her side of the shooting story. I feel like people create these narratives about you when you don't stand up for yourself. They just run and they go, and people are able to stack lies on top of more lies on top of more lies, she told Gayle King 2 years ago. We watched that interview, by the way. Yeah, that's the one where she explicitly, definitively stated she was not sleeping with Tory Lanez, that she would never sleep with him, and also denied fighting Kelsey that night. So, what? Oh, okay. Okay, if you say so. Yeah. But she's admitted to lying about that since then. Oh, okay. But she denied whooping Kelsey. Yeah. All right, the wife is over there cooking dinner, and she just likes to chime in occasionally. Anti-way. Just really want to take control over my own narrative. Pete said in a statement regarding the lawsuit, these individuals need to understand there will be repercussions for recklessly posting lies and defamatory falsehoods. CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson said she thinks Pete has a strong case. What she's alleged here are a variety of different torts and a state cause of action, essentially about deepfakes. She's saying that there's intentional infliction of emotional distress, cyberbullying, false statements based on... False statements based on her complaint. It might make people think twice before they engage in cyberbullying or defamation. Oh, wow. Getting sued for defamation might make people think twice before defamation. Crazy. That's some deep, biting legal commentary there from Jessica Levinson, CBS News legal contributor. Okay. Well, I can't speak too strongly yet on whether or not there is any merit to that. What I can say, general rules of how these cases kind of go, and real quick, cooking Sunday dinner, but I'm here, LOL. That is the other case I'm waiting on is Magro. Yes, Tara. That is going to be my next big case to follow, at least that I know about. That's kind of is an ongoing case, because I'm not going to be able to get to Big Ak, his deposition, but that's what this is from. Meg's team, her legal team, in suing Magro, they deposed DJ Akademiks. Basically, right, got to ask him a bunch of questions about his involvement with Magro and just the space generally. And there were a lot of memes that came out from that deposition. I want to watch it, but I feel like it would be jumping the gun to watch that without first understanding the lawsuit. So Yeah, defamation where? So here's the thing, right? Defamation. Defamation is, I mean, the letter of the law is when defamation occurs when you publish a false statement about somebody else to a third person. That can be written, it can be spoken. Written is libel, spoken is slander, but both libel and slander fall under the broad umbrella of defamation. And in fact, the best lesson I got on the difference between the two is none other than this clip from one of the greatest movies of all time, Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man wasn't attacking the city. He was trying to save it. That's slander.
It is not. I resent that. Slander is spoken. In print, it's libel.
Boom. Slander is spoken. In print, it's libel. Actually, we gotta get the full clip. We can't just watch that.
Spider-Man wasn't attacking the city. He was trying to save it. That's slander.
It is not. I resent that. Slander is spoken. In print, it's libel.
You don't trust anybody. That's your problem.
Yeah. So, right, that's the difference between slander and libel, but both fall under the broad rubric of defamation anyway. The biggest thing to keep in mind here when we're talking about defamation here is because Megan Thee Stallion is a public figure, is a little case called New York Times versus Sullivan. I'm just trying to figure out where Magro defamed her. I followed her vlog the whole trial. Yeah, and we would need to see, I mean, Meg would have to allege specifically in her complaint what are the defamatory statements that were being made. So that's something she would have to prove in court. But basically, though, what I'm pointing out here is the seminal case on defamation of public figures especially is New York Times versus Sullivan. This is a case, I believe it had to do with the reporting of government officials down in Jim Crow South, I believe. Yeah. Civil rights movement. New York Times published an ad for contributing donations to defend MLK on perjury charges. Ad contained several minor factual inaccuracies. The city public safety commissioner, L.B. Sullivan, felt the criticism of his subordinates reflected on him, even though he was not mentioned in the ad. So basically, right, New York Times runs an ad criticizing the government agency down in Deep South, I think in Alabama. And this guy Sullivan, who was in charge of the agency, was like, hey, there's some things that are slightly wrong, some factual inaccuracies here, so I'm suing, because the New York Times refused to take it down. So he's like, I'm suing because this is defamation. What the court ended up holding here, a vote of 7, actually, unanimous decision. Basically, it still had the standard for defamation as it is. However, added on an extra layer when it comes to public figures specifically. It required that in order to be found liable for defaming a public figure, that you have to have actual malice. Actual malice translates to you are intentionally and knowingly lying, or you have a reckless disregard for the truth. You have such little care for whether or not what you're saying is true that it could be considered reckless. So that's the actual malice standard, and you can see it down here actually. Use the term actual malice to summarize the standard. So it was made with knowledge, so you knew it was false, or reckless disregard. See? So this is key here. New York Times v. Sullivan is going to be ultra important because this has been case law since 1964, and especially as the times have changed and celebrities have become far more accessible and far more easy to criticize as well. That's kind of the main point. And you can have a criticism of a celebrity go viral, and millions of people are seeing what you're saying about them. This New York Times v. Sullivan standard has been very important to the legal landscape. So I say all that to say, Megan Thee Stallion, she is a public figure because the actual malice standard only applies to public figures. They basically found that as a public figure, it's going to come with the territory that you're going to get criticized. People are going to get things wrong. Doesn't mean they can say whatever they want about you, but it just means if you're going to hold them liable for defamation, it's only going to be based on them intentionally lying about you or having a reckless disregard for the truth. So yeah, that's the standard here. That's what's going to apply here. So in order for Megan Thee Stallion to win this lawsuit, she's going to have to prove that Milagro was intentionally lying about her or recklessly disregarding the truth as to the situation. That's specifically when it comes to the defamation statements. Now, she's alleging more causes of action regarding intentional infliction of emotional distress, cyberstalking, promoting and sharing deepfake pornography. That's all going to be under different standards than defamation. That's what, like I said, I need to find out more about that to have a better, more informed opinion on it. But while we wait, because this is so closely related to the Tory Lanez case, and we followed Tory Lanez case start to finish, and we're just waiting on the appeal to come back. Which, by the way, anyone who came in late and missed it, I let off the stream. Say my official prediction: take it to the bank. I think it's not going to be overturned, the conviction, but I think it will be remanded for a new trial. And that's just almost just as good, because a new trial I think will go a lot better than the last trial, just based on the new evidence that's come out. So we are completely fine with a remand, and I think that's what's going to happen. So we're waiting. That'll come out in the next month or two. But this is tangentially related because according to Meg, Tory was using Milagro as basically his mouthpiece while he's been in jail. He's not been able to speak about the issue, and so he's been having Milagro Cooper speak for him. So yeah, definitely going to look into this next. A lot of interesting stuff going on in it. As you can see, though, federal court, it's a lot to it. And actually, I can just go ahead and download. Oh yeah, 24 pages long. This is the complaint. So I'm not going to read this all now. I might do this on the next stream because I am getting ready to wrap this up in a little bit. Not quite yet, but just to see briefly, like, what are we... Let me get to the actual, yeah, okay. Here we go, screenshots. So these... All right, defendant also attended the trial, live streamed her falsehoods during hearings. Defendant's posts consistently spread misinformation, challenging the stories of witnesses and their credibility while sharing their names online, amounting to witness intimidation. Okay. During the trial, defendant posted the following tweets. Talking about credible when we all sitting in there, STFU. Kelsey spoke to prosecutors and told them one thing, but today says she lied. Kelsey says she never saw Tory pull a gun on Meg or shoot her. Yeah, fact check true. Like, yeah. What's the issue here? This is a true statement. She told them one thing, and then testified, and said she lied when she told them that statement. And then she said, yeah, she said she never saw that. So, because here's the thing, even under any defamation action, the defense you're always going to have as a defendant in a defamation action is the defense of truth. If it's found that what you said was true, even if it was hurtful, even if it caused you reputational damage, even if it caused you some other sort of harm, if it was true, then they're not defaming you, because by the very nature, defamation requires that a lie has to be told. But this is a true these are true statements. So, and credibility, like, I'm sorry if you're offended by someone calling into question your credibility, but guess what? You're a witness in a criminal trial. You guys have heard me say this before. Credibility is always a question for every single witness who testifies. Credibility is always something that can be asked about. So this is a stretch, calling this witness intimidation. Let's see what else. All this case taught anyone was that your father, brother, cousin, or son could face over 20 years in prison without proper evidence, a botched investigation, and another likely suspect just because non-credible witnesses said you did something, and y'all slow asses cheering. So, once again, where's the lie? I mean, you can say, because here's the thing too. Another defense to defamation, well, not so much a defense, but more so a rationale you can use, is saying, well, I wasn't making a statement of fact, I was just stating my opinion. My opinion is this. I believe that the earth is flat. Okay? I don't believe that, but as an example, I can say that. I can say I believe the earth is flat, and it's just my opinion. I'm not stating it as a fact. I'm just saying it's what my belief is. She's stating here, I believe there was no proper evidence. I believe, she's not stating literally, I believe, but that's the implication here. She's stating this all as her opinions. The same way, guess what? Tory's lawyer probably, I'll have to read the transcript, but his lawyer probably made the exact same points in his closing argument. She's basically restating Tory's closing argument, saying it was not proper evidence, botched investigation, and another likely suspect because non-credible witnesses said you did something. Yeah, all of that is either true or her opinion, which her opinion is also an accurate summation of the facts. So, yeah, I don't see anything defamatory there, but okay. Yeah, no, I agree. That's kind of my feeling. It's like, this is your smoking gun of defamation. Like, okay. Yeah. I didn't realize Meg resides in Miami. What happened to the H-Town hottie? Milagro, yeah, there's a H-Town girl. But, yeah, I'll go through, I definitely want to go through this in its entirety, this complaint. I'm not going to do it right now. Is she a professional victim? Yeah. We'll get through this at some point, but I'm still waiting. I'm basically just want to fast forward and get to the the counts, causes of action, because this is where the real meat is as far as what you're actually alleging. So promotion of an altered sexual depiction. This is the deepfake pornography one. Identifiable person. Deepfake video is an altered sexual depiction as defined under statute. Depicts a realistic version of Meg, computer-generated nude body parts. Is this illegal? Like, I get it's not good, but let's see. Section 836.13. Florida statute 836.13. Let's see. Let's read the statute. Promotion of an altered sexual depiction, prohibited acts, penalties, applicability. As used in the section, altered sexual depiction means any visual depiction that, as a result of any type of digital, electronic, blah, 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 depicts a realistic version of identifiable persons. So this is kind of the deep fake language we're looking at. With nude body parts, computer-generated nude body parts, engaging in sexual conduct. Identifiable person means you can recognize who it is. So basically we know this is Meg. Nude body parts means nude body parts. Promote, a bunch of synonyms for that. Okay. A person who willfully and maliciously promotes any altered sexual depiction of an identifiable person without the consent of the identifiable person, and who knows or reasonably should have known that such visual depiction was an altered sexual depiction, commits a felony of the third degree, punishable as provided in these statutes. Every act, transaction is prohibited by the section, constitutes a separate offense, and is punishable as such. Presence of a disclaimer is not a defense. Aggrieved may also file civil action to obtain appropriate relief. Go to the following: injunctive relief, basically a court order that you've got to take it down. Monetary damages to include $10,000 or actual damages incurred as a result, whichever is greater. Reasonable attorney's fees and costs. So basically, minimum $10,000 damages. Yeah, that one seems a lot more. Oh, did I close out of? Oh no, I got it here. That one gives me pause as far as if that's true, that Milagro was basically sharing images like this under this statute. If you share it and you promote it, it kind of looks like you're going to be held liable for that. I need to get more info for sure. Defendant promoted deepfake video by transmuting, publishing, distributing. Maybe this is where the rub is going to be here. Looks like, because I don't think the allegation is she made the video. She did not make the deepfake video, but they're saying she promoted it. So what we're saying is defendant liked an account promoting the deepfake video, which saved the like on her ex account, then encouraged followers to go to my likes where they could access it via her liked tweet. Okay. Yeah, that seems not good to me. Where was that? Where was the go to my likes? Okay. I can see this being a problem. And like I said, I'm gonna refrain from giving any official commentary. These are just like my super preliminary thoughts on this. My promise to you all, by next Sunday, I will be more read up on the topic, and we can go through the complaint together and get caught up on the whole lawsuit. But as of right now, just taking 5 minutes to look into this, if she truly liked a tweet that showed this deep fake porn basically, and if that was all she did, I would argue she's not liable, because she would not meet the promote element of this. Issue, sell, give, provide, lend, mail, deliver, transfer, transmit, transmute, publish, distribute, circulate, disseminate, present, exhibit, send, post, share, or advertise. If all she did was like the tweet, I think that would not be held liable, because think of the standard you're setting there. Of any tweet that you like, you're now going to be on the hook, held liable for basically the same as the person who created it. Not even a retweet, just a like, where it doesn't go actually on your feed. You have to go into someone's page and look at the liked section specifically to find it. That's what it currently is. If it was a retweet, okay, we're in a different story, because now you're retweeting, reposting. That's certainly, I think I can see that as promoting, or falling under this definition of promote, which is what we're looking at here. But if it's just something you're simply liking, I don't see that. But to then say, to like it and then say, go to my likes, at that point, that's bad. That's not good. Yeah, at that point, I think because you advertised it, and that's specifically mentioned as one of the synonyms here, advertise. If you're specifically advertising the location of something, of one of these visual depictions, ooh, that's rough. That's rough. But then I guess too, there's got to be this willful and malicious element. Where was it? I just saw it. To anyone a person who willfully and maliciously promotes it without consent. Yeah, I mean, if it was just something as simple like an innocuous, you see it and you like it, I think you'd struggle to meet the willful and malicious standard. But I think we can infer from the rest of Milagro's statements about Meg how she feels about Meg. And so I think the willful and malicious is probably present as well, especially when you're advertising it kind of the way she did. But yeah. So that one, okay. Count one, that's iffy for Milagro. Count two, cyber stalking. This one is going to be tough to prove from Meg's side, because we're talking about a celebrity here, and literally there's entire industry dedicated to giving people updates on celebrities and bloggers and whatnot. And just because Milagro, she could spend all day every day tweeting about Meg, to actually say it's cyber stalking. Yeah, serving no legitimate purpose. That's going to be the key there. How are they going to prove there's no legitimate purpose when you've got basically, yeah, are we going to declare the entire paparazzi industry, declare the entire drama blogger industry as having no legitimate purpose when there's literally millions of people that consume the content? That's going to be the biggest hurdle to clear there. Yeah, when you're appealing to justice, reason, and common sense instead of, like, I don't know, the law, you're not really on good footing there. If you can't point to like a case maybe where someone did something similar and they lost and the plaintiff won against that person, that's the kind of authority you're looking for. If you're trying to argue, well, we should win because of justice, reason, and common sense, ooh, that's not very strong. So cyberstalking, I think, is going to be a tough battle for Meg to win. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. Once again, we're talking about celebrity culture. If you're going to hold a drama blogger accountable, liable for IIED, that's, IIED. If you're going to hold them liable for IIED, then you're basically going to have to declare the entire drama blog paparazzi industry as liable for IIED, because seems like that's what they're kind of there for, is to basically just to report on stuff, give commentary. And yeah, it probably does make celebrities uncomfortable. I'd probably get uncomfortable if I had people constantly digging into every aspect of my life. Like, that would just get annoying to me too. So I'm certainly sympathetic to that, but I'm sorry, that is one of the side effects of your ultra fame and the millions and millions of dollars that come with it. So yeah, I think IAED is going to be a stretch. Invasion of privacy. So it's actually not even defamation. There's no count for defamation here. Maybe she did an amended complaint for defamation, but she didn't raise it because probably she realized that, New York Times versus Sullivan, it's going to be impossible to win a defamation claim against a drama blogger. So she just didn't even bother with it. But all right, invasion of privacy. Once again, we're really tying hard onto the deepfake video. False light, that's an interesting tort. Tort is basically a private injury, personal injury. False light is basically portraying someone in a way almost like false advertising. I could see that if we're talking about deepfake, but we're probably also getting into very novel areas of law because, this is filed October 2024. Deepfakes are not exactly something that's been around a long time. Like, these are a couple years old max, this ability to deepfake. And so there's really no authority, no case law that you can look to, like no Supreme Court decision that talks about the intersection between deepfake technology and its ability to place people in a false light. So not to say you can't win on that. It just means courts really don't like setting precedent. They like following precedent. And so that's how you win as a lawyer, is by directing the court to basically, here's the precedent. Look, judge, make it easy for the judge. Put yourself in the position of a judge for this scenario. You've got a case, the facts are very specific, and I can approach the judge and give them a case from 10 years ago that was identical facts. Be like, look, judge, this has already happened. This case has already happened. It got appealed. It went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said that my side wins. So all you got to do is follow the Supreme Court, and you're good. It's very compelling, very easy for a judge to just follow the precedent. So, but we're kind of in uncharted waters here when we talk about deepfake. So we'll see what kind of precedent this sets. But I agree about cyberstalking. Hard to prove since Meg's a celeb, but can she be held liable just because she doesn't like Meg in general? No, and that's the thing. So that's kind of my main point is, yes, we can agree, we can acknowledge that Magro is not a fan of Meg, but not being a fan of somebody is not grounds for tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars in damages. There's plenty of people that I don't like. And I can say that. I mean, I've said similar things about the Tory Lanez case and about Megan Thee Stallion that Magro has said about her. Yet, is the idea here that I'm defaming Meg when I feel like everything I've said is a true statement about it? So, yeah. So, but that's interesting, though. I'm really interested in the fact that you're going to use words like defamation and defamatory. Let's see if we can find it, actually. Defam. Oh, it's not in here. Okay. I guess it's more using words like falsehoods. Yeah, spreading false statements. It's like Defendant Cooper performed Mr. Peterson's public bidding to denigrate, belittle, insult, and spread false statements about Miss Pete for no other reason to bully, harass, and punish her for Tory's conviction and to tarnish her reputation, causing emotional distress. So it's like you're talking about spreading false statements to tarnish her reputation. Like, these are the elements of defamation here. A false statement with reputational damage, and spreading. That's another element. So it's like you're laying out the elements for defamation, but you're not alleging defamation as a cause of action. So yeah, very interesting. But anyway, that's just a little brief look into the complaint. Let me see. Yeah, actually seems like this is some pretty interesting stuff regarding the rules of civil procedure. And yeah, and that's the thing about federal court is everything gets filed. Now, to read some of the stuff, you got to buy it. as you can see. So I will not be doing that, but I definitely will be, yeah, looking more into this. But anyway. Alrighty then. I think, though, that... Oh, defendant's motion to dismiss. I'm assuming this got denied, but failure to state a claim. I mean, yeah, unfortunately, once again, based on my little reading there, it seems like... Oh, amended complaint. Ooh, okay, actually, let me look at this real quick. First amended complaint. So, yeah, you are allowed to amend a complaint while something is pending. But let's see if we do get to defamation in the amended complaint. Let's see. Where are the causes of action? Uh-oh. Yep. The lasting impact of defendant's defamatory statements. Okay, so it looks like we are going to get to defamation here. Yep, defamation per se. Okay. Let me come back to that. Let me see if there's any new statement or any new claims. Now, it looks like it's going to repeat from there. The altered sexual depiction, IIED, cyber stalking. Oh, so they removed the false light claim, which is kind of what I said. It's like false light. That's kind of a weird application. There's not really any precedent for it. Yeah, I could see them getting squeamish about that. Also, too, look at this formatting abomination. Oh my gosh, it always just goes that little bit of gap, but this one, wow. These are supposed to be professionals. Unbelievable. Okay, let's see what statements though are alleged to be defamation. But remember, keep in mind, New York Times v. Sullivan, it's got to be actual malice. Okay. Defendant published a series of false and defamatory statements of fact of and concerning Ms. Pete to third parties such as subscribers, viewers, and followers on her social media accounts. First, defendant published false and defamatory statements accusing Ms. Pete of the crime of perjury and egregious dishonesty and falsely accusing another of a felony. Specifically stated, okay, well, falsely accusing the crime of perjury. Once again, this goes back to what I said earlier about opinions. Like, she can just say, it's my opinion that she committed perjury. Like, I don't think anyone is looking at, when Magro says Megan perjured herself, I don't think anyone is taking away from that, yes, she has been charged, tried, prosecuted, and convicted of the federal crime of perjury. It's like, no one's actually going to say that. It's used more as a figure of speech, or as just an expression of someone being dishonest in the courtroom. That's not, he's not stating that as a definitive fact. So, I don't see that sticking. Egregious dishonesty. Okay, but let's look at the actual statements. At the end of the day, bitch lying on somebody is low down. Yes, she got hurt, and that's cool, but how did you get hurt? How? And what are the circumstances? And what after that? So, bitch, if you think I'm finna be sitting up here boo-hooing for bitch that played up in y'all face, not mine, because I always said her ass was lying. Bitch, I don't. You think I feel sorry for the bitch? I don't. Yeah, okay. I like how we can say whatever word we want, but then we get to the word, and we got to asterisk that out, you know. Okay, it's the same statement that we got last time too. He shot her because his ego was bruised. She's the bigger star. That's never been a fact, and damn sure ain't one today. Tory Lanez is behind bars, presumed guilty, getting better numbers in charting. What is false about this? What's defamatory here? I don't understand. Okay. I believe that this is exactly how they feel about you, Megan. I believe that this is exactly how they feel about you. We know you a lying-ass hoe, and you have absolutely ruined Tory's life. Once again, the absolute ultimate defense to defamation is truth, and it's pretty easy to prove that you were lying because we have you on tape admitting to lying. So, okay. Defamatory per se because they charged Miss Pete with committing an infamous crime. What, perjury? reasonable reader or listener defendant statements that Miss Pete was caught trying to deceive the courts again and otherwise lied, fabricated, or falsified her testimony during the trial regarding Mr. Peterson's use of a firearm or her wound from that firearm would understand them as charging her with perjury, third-degree felony in Florida, and an infamous crime. I mean, they got case law, so I'd be curious to see what that says, but I still don't see it. Yeah, I mean, any other statements? Miss Pete was or is mentally incompetent and required a guardian, specifically. Yeah, okay. I don't know. Like, to me, this just seems like all standard. Like, I've seen commentary like this on a million different drama blogs. So, where in this are we getting to intentionally lying? Like, what are we saying here? That Milagro knows, like, in her own mind, in her mind's eye, she's like, I know Meg told the truth, but I'm going to lie and say that she lied. It's like, or Milagro actually believes that she lied because she does believe that she lied because she did lie, and we have her on tape lying, admitting to lying. So, yeah, I don't see it. I don't get it. So I think the defamation is definitely weak. And also, too, this is kind of what I said earlier, right at the beginning of the stream. It's interesting to think about if you're so confident in your story, basically, in your narrative of how things played out, why do you need to sue people to show everybody how right you are? Can't the truth just speak for itself? Like, sounds like grasping at straws to me. The whole world watched her say she lied more than once, so I don't know about this one. Yeah, exactly right. I think she is grasping at straws. Because, like I was just saying, if you're so confident in that what you're saying is the truth, then why do you have to sue journalists to enforce that what you said was true? Why can't just what you'd said speak for itself, stand for itself? And yeah, why do you have to? And it does remind me of one of my favorite clips from Game of Thrones. I've used this quote so many times. Basically, context here.
I am the king!
All right, for anyone who hasn't seen Game of Thrones, this little squirt, he is the king, as you just heard him say. I am the king. His name's Joffrey, and he is just the most hateable character in the entire show. And he's a real punk, but he is the king. He gets made the king while being an insufferable brat. And because he is so insufferable, he has to and no one really treats him seriously. He has to constantly remind people that he is the king. I am the king. In reality, it's his grandfather, Tywin Lannister, who's like really the king. He's like the one actually calling the shots and pulling the strings behind the scenes. And Tywin just has this great line, just a little nugget of wisdom to Joffrey about the nature of power.
I am the king! I will punish you.
Any man who must say, I am the king, is no true king.
And, like, I just use that. I think about that quote at least once a day, I feel like, in so many different contexts. Where was I? There I am. In so many different contexts in life. Like, if you have to remind people or tell people something is true or something is a fact, instead of just letting it speak for itself, then it's really not a good fact. It's not strong. And the best way I can relate this, so I played basketball growing up. Ended up going on to play in college, played Division II. And full disclosure, I really didn't play much in college. I rode that bench, but I had a great time doing it. And just in case y'all think, oh, Division II bench warmer, this guy sucks. I can promise you, anyone watching, we can play one-on-one right now. I'll destroy you. And I know that because I go to the YMCA, I go to local pickup, and I destroy pretty much everybody there. And the reason I'm bringing this up, not to say how great of a basketball player I am. Honestly, my wife is probably better than me. She played Power 5 Division 1. high major stuff. Yeah, she could probably beat me. But I bring all this up to say, when I go and play basketball, and I play against these kids, and they want to talk all this big game about all these offers that they're getting. Like, oh, I'm getting looks from, so I'm in North Carolina, I'm like oh, I get looks from UNC Charlotte, I get looks from Wake Forest, I get looks from Duke, North Carolina. It's like, and I'm in there, I'm in this gym, like these are high school kids that will say stuff like this, and they're not bad players, but like, I'm in there playing against them, and I'm just absolutely cooking them. I'm destroying them. And they don't know where I played, but all they know is like, yeah, I'm destroying them. And then I hear them talking about like all these offers they're getting, all these looks that they're getting. And it's like, it sticks out to me. And I bring this all up to say, because there was a local kid, who did end up going on to play at Wake Forest. And this kid, he's like that. He's good. He's legit. If he came into that gym and was playing, you know what he doesn't have to say to show people how good he is? He doesn't have to go in and say, I'm good. I play at Wake Forest. I'm good. I don't have to go in and say, I'm good. I play Division II. Because we just go in and we just play, and the game speaks for itself. If you're going out there and you have to tell people about all these offers you're getting, and the reason you have to tell them is because it doesn't speak for itself, well, guess what?
I am the king!
I have offers.
I will punish you.
Any man who must say, I am the king, is no true king.
And all that, to bring that all full circle, if you have to be saying, I'm right, I'm telling the truth, you're lying about me, and no one believes you, and so much so to the point that you have to start suing people, you have to start suing journalists to prove how right you are and how truthful you are, and because you can't just rely on the facts speaking for themselves, on your testimony speaking for itself. Like, how insecure do you have to be? And honestly, you're giving the game away at that point, because just like these kids at the gym, like when you start saying this stuff, when you start talking about how great you are instead of just showing it, when you start talking about how truthful you are instead of just showing it, then yeah, you're basically giving the game away, and you're betraying how insecure you are about your side and your side of this case. So yeah, enough said. What's understood doesn't have to be told or sold, plain and simple. Exactly right. And that's my biggest vibe I get from the fact that Meg is suing a journalist over her coverage of her on the case. So yeah, I'm definitely going to cover that. That's going to be a big one. But we did get the defamation, so yeah. It's a lot of filings here. But y'all have my promise, though. I'm going to get fully caught up on this one. And, another one I haven't even talked about in a while is the Demore Hadley. Basically just want to see where we're at. The Demore docket. Oh, yeah. Actually, I'm going to follow this one, yeah. Because this is the CEO of Rock Nation, Desiree Perez. Her daughter, Demore. Demore is suing Desiree. The daughter is suing the mother over a bunch of crazy stuff. Actually, I made a video about it back. Let me see. Here it is. Yeah, made a video basically going through the complaint, and oh yeah, that's a lot of crazy stuff that is involved with that, but I've not been caught up on that one as of late either, but that's another one. So it's kind of where I'm at now that we've wrapped up the Cardi B case. We're waiting on the Tory Lanez outcome. These are the two main cases I think of as far as being like consistently covering. So that is the plan. If there's any others y'all can think of that y'all want to see coverage on, always feel free to let me know. Yeah. But I think, though, for today, it's pretty much going to wrap it up for me. I know I put... Yeah. I was going to do the Akademiks deposition, but yeah, like I said, I don't really want to dive too deep into that without first understanding the full background on the Meg versus Milagro case. So that will probably be a task for next week. But yeah, we are I think are all good. All good for the evening. Also too, honestly, the main reason I'm calling it the dinner right over there is smelling delicious. And I'm ready to get some of that good. Gonna get that yummy. Yeah. I don't even know if y'all can hear her, but she's roasting me. She's being mean to me. She's bullying me.
Would you stop yapping and come on?
I'm telling her she's got to come make a special appearance on the stream. The wife. She's basically my hip hop culture historian. Anytime I have a question about anything, I just ask her. She usually has an answer for me. And so yeah, I'm gonna need to get her over here on stream to educate me in real time. But we'll see. She's camera shy. Yo, you're not? You're not camera shy? Okay, she said she's not camera shy. Okay. Have a great night. Happy 2nd anniversary. That's right. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up there. If y'all are still here, thank you all so much for watching. If you're not subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to see when we go live. Oh, my special announcement. I almost forgot. Secret special announcement. I will be doing a live debate panel this Wednesday at 6. Hi, wife. We'd love to have you join. Love for you to join us. Chat is saying so. Just saying. But yeah, I did not type that. Terrorism's in my mind typed that. Thank you very much. But yeah, this Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be on a live debate show. I will put the link on Twitter when it gets to it. Basically, it's not legal, but it will be somewhat related. Basically, I'll be talking about whether or not media, so movie, TV, music, whatever it may be, is being corrupted or skewed by quote-unquote woke politics. Yeah, as y'all can see by my references to movies and TV.
Spider-Man wasn't attacking the city. He was trying to...
I'm a big fan. Movies and TV. That's kind of my main hobby outside of work. That and basketball. So definitely have some thoughts on that. But it will not be what you might be expecting me to say. I think I've got some nuanced opinions. So either way, I'll be talking about basically, yeah, the kind of the current state of modern media, Hollywood, entertainment, etc. That'll be Wednesday night, 6 p.m. It's my first ever live debate panel. I have no idea what everyone else on the panel is going to be like. But yeah, so looking forward to doing that. If you're interested in that, love to see you watch it live. I'll see if I can, if the host, if he allows I guess me to take the recording and repost it on my channel. I don't see why not, or if I can live stream it simultaneously. Either way, if not, if y'all can watch it through his channel, get in his chat, that'll be great. But I'll have more information on that as we get there. But I'm hoping to do more live debate type stuff. Hopefully on the law, on the cases that I'm following. Because people like to have these strong opinions about these cases, but then not want to talk about them or debate them. So hopefully, yeah, that's the benefit too of doing a live stream format is people that have these strong opinions. Like if y'all remember back on the Tory Lanez case, the videos I was making about that, there were some comment warriors down there talking about how terrible Team Tory is and just shilling for Team Meg with some of the worst arguments we'd ever seen. And I invited them. I'm like, hey, if y'all ever want to do a debate, we can do it. And never got taken up on that offer. But honestly, it would have been hard without being live. But now it's an open forum. Anytime anyone can come into the live chat, say they disagree, and we can take it from there. So that's definitely going to be something planned going forward, or I hope that we can do going forward. But in the meantime, got to start somewhere. And so that'll be this Wednesday with talking about media, movies, entertainment. I got a lot to say about Marvel and Star Wars specifically. So it's going to be exciting. So yeah, anyway. But yeah, that is all. Like I said, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow on Twitter to get the updates of when we go live. As y'all can see, I stay pretty consistent with that. Yeah, that's all it's going to be for today. besides, so yeah, I've got this Wednesday. I'll be doing the debate panel. And then the next stream that I'm doing is going to be next Sunday afternoon once again. Just going to be consistent. Same time, same channel. Y'all know the drill. It's going to be, so 4 o'clock next Sunday will be the plan. So yeah. I am looking forward to seeing y'all there. In the meantime, y'all have an awesome week. And yeah, I'll catch up with y'all a little bit on Wednesday. And hopefully fully next Sunday. So y'all have an awesome week. I'll see you all.